Record.
Episode 7. What up?
First here. I got.
We're going right to the moon, my brother. How much Dogecoins you got?
I have 0. I can't.
Me too.
I can't invest in it.
Yeah. So welcome to episode 7, everybody. We're tapping in right now, the greatest episode ever because it is the number 7. That's a special number to the boy. I was born on August 7th, 1997. I was 77 pounds and
77 pounds.
7 ounces. Yep.
Born 77 pounds.
I was born with a beard.
Big baby.
Big baby, little baby. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. We had some issues here, but we're doing good.
Yeah.
Just got off work. I'm sweaty.
Sweaty boy. That is true. I didn't know Mitch hit the recording button, and I didn't realize we were recording for about 2 minutes, and I was saying some stuff that wasn't necessarily controversial, but the moment when we blow up, someone did some digging, and that was up there. I get canceled in the future. So that's how you avoid getting canceled, baby. You got to pay attention.
People say worse things.
Yeah, I know. You're right. And it was in a humorous manner as well. But yeah, man. Episode 7, we made it here. This is the first episode, I think, when at the very beginning I hadn't already had a beer. I'm completely sober right now.
I can see how much coffee you drank because you're doing this.
I thought I always do that at the beginning of the episodes, man. I'm always doing that because I think I put a lot of pressure on myself in my head to try to provide that entertainment and not slip up. And then I think after I get about 20 minutes in, I'm like, okay, this is going well. So I think I'm going to be cautious of that now.
That's funny because I do like the opposite. I tried to think as little as possible about it outside of like knowing like what we're going to talk about. But even if I don't know what it like, even if I haven't actually dove into the topic, I just want to like loosely know what we're going to talk about because I can still kind of form an opinion as long as I've heard what's going on in the topic. You know what I mean?
And that's not a bad thing.
I try. It's kind of the same thing I was saying with like investing in the last episode. Is like I try not to. I don't like to dive too deep mentally into like what I'm going to do.
Otherwise, what you're actually putting your money into.
Not even necessarily that, but just like I don't think I finished my thought actually when we were talking about that, but because I got off on like a fucking side tangent in my head. But like basically what I was trying to say is like I don't want to be overly mentally invested in something because I might like remember what we thought about Top Ships. We're like, oh, this is down so far. We're going to make our money on this. And it's like, where's Top Ships at now? Nobody ever made their money on it because it's just the same place it's always been. But,
Top Ships was the initial penny stock that we both were like pretty obsessed with. Not obsessed with, but we were definitely.
We were just like, this is going to bounce back to where it was, man. We're going to multiply our money times 10. But like that kind of thinking. I don't like to be like that about anything. You know what I mean? Like I don't like to be overly mentally invested in anything or I'm gonna have a bias. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then it kind of becomes something that you're like really passionate about, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes that stuff can work out in your favor and you will be more prepared to understand what you're putting your money into. But that was
well, I don't completely blindly do it or anything. I just don't like to be too down any rabbit hole because then you don't know if you're playing yourself kind of thing. You know what I mean? If you're halfway in and out the door, you can kind of see.
For the people that don't realize as well, the painting that's behind you right now, give a little background on what the story is behind that.
That's Mr. P. There. And there.
That's double P.
It's just like a character. I'll pick this up for a minute and I can make it more visible. That I created. There's actually an artist from Sydney named Oni Nordman, and he's got this like these paintings that he does. Where he uses this face mask like that was like from the 70s or something that it would have been used to apply some sort of like you would put like some sort of exfoliating mask on the back of this plastic sheet mask and then put it on your face. But he actually uses it in his paintings because he found it at a yard sale and he was like, oh, this is like a face, but it's a non-distinct face. It's not like a white guy's face. It's not a black guy's face. It's not an Asian guy's face. It's just a face. So he thought it was like very openly relatable, and I like that concept. So me being in, I was in college at the time, and dealing with personal issues, and also had like a baby on the way. So I was like stressed out.
Which is ironic that you're telling the story right now, because Mack's birthday is actually tomorrow.
Yeah, he'll be turning 4. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Doesn't
that's
seem real. Oh yeah.
What are the birthday plans?
The math. The birthday. Well, you can't really do much because it's the lockdown, right? But we have. We're gonna have the backyard set up. We got him like a pool, and Emily's father picked up a bouncy house thing, like a personal kind of sized one. So we'll have the pool, and we'll have that, and he's really into Lightning McQueen, so we got him like a billion cars, like there's like the Cars dinkies. So he's got like a bunch of those, and
shout out to the Cars brand for being able to stay relevant for like 15 years, because I remember watching that when I was a kid, and that's just interesting to see that Mack is, for his 4th birthday, 2021, he's a fan of cars, and that's the theme of his birthday party. That's
every day, actually. Well, we were talking about this, I think, on an earlier podcast where I was saying that like every day he wakes up and he watches these like videos that are just like cuts of the Lightning, like of the Cars movies, but like with like electronic music in the background, and he just races around our coffee table with the dinkies on the table so bad that like there's actually tracks in the table from him just racing the cars over and over and over again. Yeah. But yeah, he'll be 4 tomorrow, man. It's a big day. But anyway, getting back to that, I was in a unmotivated place, but I was kind of inspired by this guy's mask idea, where he said this face can represent so many different kinds of people, and I tried to come up with something that I thought was like relatable to me, but also relatable to everybody, people as a whole. Yeah. And I feel like there's a lot of people, not just in our generation, I don't even know, like just a lot of people in general that are just kind of like, they feel like that. You know what I mean? You can see his eyes are like, he doesn't look particularly happy.
Yeah, his posture isn't the greatest.
Which
can be relatable to a lot of people. He's still discovering himself, and he's
mopey. He's not sad, but he's not happy.
He's getting through the day.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when you could take something that is so relatable, not necessarily on a positive aspect, and make something really cool out of it, whether it's art or whatever. It's just like a iconic looking figure that could become more iconic depending on how much energy you put into it and how much more exposed that design gets. And you could really like not capitalize, but I guess capitalize on a very relatable type of person.
Yeah, I am going to bring it back at some point, but I'm not
going
to hand print it. That was the big problem.
Get the Mr. P merch that doesn't exist.
I wear it sometimes. I think I've worn it on the podcast once or twice, but it's well, that was actually, yeah, like we were saying before, like when Emily was pregnant with Mac, and like I was hand printing these shirts and just like driving them to people and selling them.
I remember that moment, man. There's nothing that beats something like that. Like I mean,
that was like a crazy energy.
Yeah, we could blow up tomorrow or something, and then like have like millions and millions of people know who you are. But like that feeling of printing 30 T-shirts, or like putting together 50 CDs, like back when I first started putting out music in 2014, when we would go to Staples and we would come back and we had the blank CDs and burn them, and you'd have to do the cover art
photo paper, and we'd hand cut those things out. Oh man.
Yeah, and selling them for $5. That was like, that's the best feeling ever, because it's just like the beginning phases of something. And when you get that first feeling of like somebody wants to buy your CD or your T-shirt that you made, and everything that you're like, that $5, $10, $20 that you just received came from something that completely came out of
your head. Yeah, you just like hitting the ground, running, and like you got your hands dirty. It's really it's gritty. It feels good. It feels like you're and sometimes really doing something. You know what I mean? Even when you're probably at the beginning, where you're probably doing the least of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and sometimes some people, I guess, can do something like that, and it's one of the first, That's why I think you got to be super grateful for the amount of time sometimes it can take for an idea like that to really take off, because you appreciate those slower times where the one individual that became interested in the thing that you made such a difference, because you're going from nobody even being aware that you have this talent or you have this idea to 20 people, and then you're a lot more connected with those 20 people or those 1,000 people or whatever. And when you get to see it grow, and if it takes a little bit longer, it means you just have applied more time into your craft, which has made you get better. So when more people find out about you, you're already used to interacting with the already relatively small community. So you just become a better engager or whatever, instead of putting one thing out and it blows up overnight.
That was a fantastic feeling. I remember like some of the people that bought the shirts I knew, but like some of them I didn't know. And actually it's funny, Emily was at I gave a sweater to Nookie, and I think that was around the time that he started dieting, because it was like an extra large or something like that. But he ended up giving it to somebody who gave it to their girlfriend, and then Emily saw that girl out with the sweater, and she's like, oh, who's this? Like, why do they have a Mr. P sweater?
Oh, it's crazy when you have merchandise or something, and then someone tells you that they saw somebody at the grocery store wearing your hoodie or your shirt or something. Mm-hmm. It's like because obviously like they don't know who that was, and you're like, I wonder who that was, and it's just crazy that people can be out in public wearing something that you made and other people can recognize it or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or if you're someone like you said, like Nookie, it didn't fit Nookie or something. That's what you said, right? It didn't fit him because he was dieting and everything.
I think so. Yeah, that was. I mean, I'm just kind of creating a scenario.
And someone random that didn't even know you and was wearing it intentionally to support you, liked the design and decided to wear it. And something like that can just justify in your head that, hey, what I made is generally good, where people that are buying it aren't just buying it because they know me. They just like how it looks.
Somebody at work asked me the other day, I was wearing one of my shirts, like one of the Mr. P shirts that I still have. And they're like, where'd you get that? And I was like,
The clothing game is a fucking hustle and that's the best thing too. If you're like a musician or you're a content creator or anything like of influence, you got merchandise and you have a connected enough audience that wants to rep your shit because they want to tell people like, I'm a fan of that person, and they're almost committed and they feel like they're a part of what you're creating, then they'll buy that shit all day. Like that is one of the best ways to monetize an audience is merchandise 100%.
Yeah. That's something I liked about that too, was that it was and Oni Norman's concept in the first place was that it was like non-specific, because I find like with merchandise, like a big mistake I think that people make when they're making merchandise is they get really specific to themselves or like whatever brand they're trying to push. And it's like you could be like, let's just take like a skate brand like Volcom or something, or Volcom, however you say that. They could put their logo on something all day, and if somebody doesn't really like that brand, they're not going to buy that shirt. But if they had some crazy ass design on their shirt and there's no Volcom logo on it, or maybe it's just small in the corner or just on the tag, it's like, that shirt's crazy, they're going to buy that shirt.
It's crazy that people buy brands and it's like based off of them just being like, that's the craziest snowball effect. If like you create a brand, you develop the dedicated audience right off the bat, they're want to support you. It gets to a point where it starts, stores might be picking it up and stuff. And then if enough people are wearing it, it just like by just human nature, like do something psychologically in someone's head.
Most people see other people doing things and they want to do it too, because
I was like that. Feel safe. In junior high, like I remember when I got into grade 7 and I was like, okay, I'm not, because I used to wear a lot of like soccer jerseys and stuff because that was what I was interested in. And I remember just seeing some people a few grades ahead of me wearing, like you said, like Volcom or like MLB hats. And that was like the weirdest thing to me when people would wear like like they would wear like basketball jerseys and baseball hats, and I knew they didn't watch baseball or basketball and they weren't even fans of the teams that they were wearing on the hats. Like that was like a really hard concept for me to wrap my brain around when I was like 12, because I just felt like if you were going to wear anything, you had to know what you were wearing. I couldn't believe that people could be that fake, not fake, but like just that, I don't know, like fraud.
It is fakeness. It's fakeness to fit in. It just makes people feel safe.
But I remember finding a website, me and Brandon Carey were like, man, we're going to get these MLB hats, bro. And we like got a bunch of like ones that weren't, they were like knockoff ones. We got like 5 each for like $20. And it was like, we were stoked. And like some basketball jerseys and shit too. I remember when I was in grade 7 too, I thought like I just like, out of nowhere, everyone was wearing American Eagle and Hollister. I was like, I did not get the memo that we had to be rocking the American Eagle right now.
The best shoes I ever had were a pair of American Eagle shoes. And like, I never knew that they even made shoes, but they were like these leather fucking white shoes that I had. They were so comfy and they lasted forever.
Man, I had a pair of American Eagle shoes that I got years ago, and they did last a long time. Like, I got them and I had better shoes at the time. I think they were only like, those shoes were super cheap. They were like $20 or whatever. I think someone like my grandmother might have gave them to me or something. I already had my everyday shoes, so I didn't wear them. But then a few years down the road, I was like, man, I'm gonna rock these. They look kind of like those Ralph Lauren polo shoes that you used to see in the mall and shit.
Yeah.
And they lasted. Yeah, the American Eagle shoes lasted forever. And I'm pretty sure they were like Payless shoe store shoes. Yep. Like that's what
we probably had the same shoes.
Mine were red. Were yours blue?
Mine were white.
Oh, okay. I think I remember those.
White leather shoes. But they were probably the longest lasting pair of shoes I ever had in my life. But yeah. Yeah,
man.
Get into some topics.
Yeah, we're getting into some topics. I was gonna say shout out to Jay Bigley, man. It's different not having him chiming in and stuff. And
I know. Where's he? I shot him a message. He must be busy though. He probably just wasn't expecting to be free at this time.
Yeah, he's on EI from the podcast right now. Yeah. So first topic that I had in here. This is the biggest one to dive into. I always find when I put out the list of the topics, the biggest one that I want to dive into is what I make the most notes surrounding. But Elon Musk hosted Saturday Night Live last night, and I don't know which particular cast members, but there was actually some cast members I believe who are regularly on the show that chose not to participate in being in this episode because Elon Musk isn't a entertainer. Like, he isn't somebody who has any like stage presence. Well, he definitely probably does.
So this is the first time that somebody that doesn't have a stage presence has been on SNL?
No, that was a bad choice of words. But like, he's not an actor. He's not an artist. He's
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Creative by a giant standard. But I don't know if that's
honestly
why they decided not to be in it. But or it might have had something to do with the fact that he forced a lot of his workers to continue working during the pandemic and everything, and some of his comments that might have been perceived as insensitive to some people. But it's some bullshit. I mean, those people should get fired. But he was the first person to host SNL since Donald Trump, prior to him being the Republican nominee for president in like 2016. That was like, he's the first person that isn't in the entertainment industry specifically to host SNL in quite a bit, I believe. But
it's a silly reason. If that's the reason, that's a silly fucking reason. And honestly, like, this is probably an opinion that would be taken the wrong way by certain types of people, but he's probably so much more creative than half the writers on that show.
Oh,
like, think about how many different things he's got his hand in, and not just creative in like a sense of like, oh, I'm drawing a picture, I'm painting a painting, creating one thing. Like, these are people that just write jokes over and over and over again. And if you talk, or not talk to, but like, if you hear comments from anybody that's ever been on Saturday Night Live, like, it's terrible. It's just the higher up fucking stealing the jokes from the guys below, and it's almost like this kind of like system that you have to play until you get a better career out of it. Like, it's dog eat dog kind of thing. It's pretty vicious.
it's like an entry level point for actors and creatives to get into the real deal industry to see if they can break out of that level, get somewhere else, and get put in movies and TV shows and stuff. But I don't know, did you see any of his participation in the skits or the monologue?
I didn't. Like that? I mean, I have, even though I'm not working 6 days a week right now, I still barely have any time to fucking consume things. But no, I haven't. I was very busy today. I definitely want to see it though. I did want to check that out. I just never really got a good opportunity to like sit down and watch it. But
it was good. I thought that for what people's expectations were for his ability to be funny, I think that people definitely underestimated him. I mean, obviously he didn't write everything that he said in the monologue, but he got a couple good ones off. I didn't know, and I think that this was like the first time he actually said this. I'm sure some people might have were assuming this anyway, but he said that he is the first person with Asperger's to host SNL. I did not know Elon Musk had the Asperger's.
That makes so much sense, though.
But it's interesting when you look at his body language. I don't know if this is directly associated with that. I'm no expert in this at all, but you know, he's kind of like, sometimes he'll be standing and he'll make a joke and you could tell that he feels awkward standing on stage by himself in front of all these people, and he'd be like, it's like your heart melts, bro. It's like, oh man. And then his mom came out because they were doing a bunch of stuff with moms because it was Mother's Day, so a lot of the cast members had their moms in the skits and stuff, and his mom came out, and that was the first mention of Dogecoin throughout the whole thing, because there was people that were heavily invested in Dogecoin. That whole entire community basically relies on Elon Musk to co-sign Dogecoin when he's in the public eye, and this was like the big moment for Dogecoin last night. Like on 420, that was supposed to be Doge Day, and they were going to pump it up to $1, and it didn't live up to the expectations. And yet last night was supposed to be something similar to the expectations that they had in that community for 420. It didn't happen, but it was it was nuts, man, because there's this guy, I don't know if you've seen any articles or anything about him, but he's known as they call Elon Musk this too, but they call this guy like the Doge father. He's like the face of like the Dogecoin community right now. His name, I think, is what's it called? His Instagram is it Pro Doge? Let me see.
This is the guy you sent the article about in the group chat.
Yeah, he did it. He did a couple of videos with Andre Jick, who's like probably one of the biggest stock market finance YouTubers here. Dogecoin guy. You tell me if I Google Dogecoin guy. Anyway, fuck, I can't believe I don't remember this guy's name. But anyway, he took out his life. Like this is crazy. So I'll give a backstory on this guy real quick, but he back in, I think, January, he put $188,000 into Dogecoin. And that's his entire portfolio on Robinhood. And we're getting mobile here. And he's up. He put $188,000 in, and right now, as of like last week, he was up. His portfolio went up to $1 million, and now it's over $2 million. It was about $2,500,000 prior to SNL starting last night, and it was crazy. He did a live stream with Andre Jick, and basically it was just him showing his portfolio and how much it was fluctuating throughout the whole episode, because Elon Musk didn't come out and basically be like, everyone buy Dogecoin right now. It's the forefront of cryptocurrency. It's going to the moon. So people were selling it off like crazy, and it was nuts because in the first like 10 minutes of SNL, it dipped like the amount of money this guy has in his portfolio that's just all Dogecoin. He lost like $600,000 in like 20 minutes. And he's like, I'm holding, baby. I'm holding because we're going to the moon. And they're like, man, you got to sell. Like, that's been the whole dialogue between him and these financial YouTubers for the videos that he's done with them so far. They're just like, man, you could buy, you could sell right now. You could quit your job. You have enough money. You put this in some reliable dividend paying stocks, and you get a home, and it's all taken care of, and you can still keep some in Dogecoin. Like, just sell it right now. And he's like, I can't, man, I can't. He's kind of grown a platform from all the people that are invested in Dogecoin on YouTube and everything. His name is like Pro or something. If you just typed in Dogecoin guy, Pro, whatever on YouTube, you'll find this guy. But anyway, it was funny to watch the live stream last night. But
hit that dope.
Anyway, he's smoking on that big dope. But what I was going to say, what's interesting about this dude that is like the face of this right now, and he's been on CNBC and everything, he's the voice of, I don't know if you ever seen this YouTube channel, Hip Hop DX. I've like, their videos pop up on my YouTube homepage all the time.
I feel like I have seen that before. I've heard of that.
But what was so crazy was I was watching the video that he did with Andre Jick, and then I went back to YouTube, and then I watched a Hip Hop DX video, and I was just watching. It was about Pusha T writing the jingle for McDonald's, and then I went and looked down in the comments, and the top comments was, isn't it crazy that the guy narrating this video is a Dogecoin millionaire? And I was like, wait, what? And then I listened to his voice again, and I was like, there's no way. Is that actually this guy? And then I looked up the credits and the description, and I I went and he did a podcast recently, and I watched the first few minutes, and they asked him like what his job was, and he was like, "Yeah, I work at a hip hop company. I do the thumbnails and I edit the videos and I narrate them and stuff." And I was like, "That's fucking crazy, bro." But he didn't sell. He's probably back up a bit. He said he's not selling until he gets to 10 million. He believes that Dogecoin is going to $1. It's going to the moon. And,
I wish I could invest in it, man. There's no platform. Well, like I need to go open another bank account or something somewhere else, because like I can't use my Visa debit to put money into a crypto.com or anything. It just won't take my card. But honestly, I'm kind of not mad at that, because I mean, like Doge, yes, if you get in at a certain price point and it goes to a certain price point, you're gonna fucking blow your money up. But I'm very happy with Ethereum.
Yeah, Ethereum's doing great. Ethereum is the reliable cryptocurrency bet right now. Ethereum has real world use. It is the technology is being adapted by more and more. Like the European Union is using their technology to like handle their finances and shit. I mean, I don't have like the super in-depth information, but that is a recent update with them. And also, I was looking at this article before. I actually have it up here with Ethereum. Basically, there's like a crypto analyst, and they have predicted Ethereum and Bitcoin's prices for the last year or two. And they predicted this climb to 3,400 US a few months ago, and it's exactly where it is right now. And they think that it's going to hit about $10,000 per.
But is that like 3,900 US?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
It went between like, I was watching the other day, like just yesterday, I made $100. Like just from literally from like 3 o'clock in the morning until, because I just randomly checked my crypto account, until like midday yesterday, I made $100. It was fucked.
So yeah, and then this individual that I saw, I don't know what network it was, but they also suspect that the entire stock market will eventually be tokenized using the Ethereum blockchain. But yeah, a lot of cool shit. Ethereum is a trustworthy bet. I mean, eventually. The thing, yeah, I mean, and it's impressive because they can continue. And there's another thing too, that it's going to be more like it's going to be more green now, which makes it a lot more appealing to like institutional investors and stuff. Because with Bitcoin and all the mining and stuff, it's not necessarily good for the environment because of all of the.
No, did you ever see a Bitcoin mining like operation? Like what
that
looks like? It's like stacks of computers on like racks of like it's just fucked. But
well, that's the thing with the Ethereum now, is because let me just see here. I had it up here.
Well, that's what I didn't hear. this is I assumed that. I never looked into that, but I assumed that because I never heard anybody bitching about like Ethereum hurting the environment and how deadly Ethereum is.
It definitely, like, basically the way that they reward these miners is if they can like verify these transactions at whoever can verify them the quickest is the one that gets rewarded with the particular currency that they're verifying the transactions for. And in this article, it says, unlike Bitcoin's so-called proof of work, which rewards miners who are competing against each other to use computers and energy to record and confirm transactions on its blockchain, Ethereum plans to adopt the more efficient proof of stake model, which chooses a block validator at random based on how much ether it controls. So basically, it's the shift to proof of stake for block validation reduces carbon emissions by 99.9%, making Ethereum a green technology.
So
wait. On the network alone could push Ethereum to $1 trillion market cap, which is where Bitcoin is at today. That would make Ethereum around $8,000 to $10,000 US a coin.
Does that mean you get granted the transaction based on how much you hold?
I think it. Yeah, I think that
because that would create its own problem eventually, where there's going to be some people with just huge amounts of Ethereum that are verifying all the transactions. So instead of having computers everywhere, you're going to have one guy with one huge computer that's still going to be eating energy like crazy. And he's just going to be sitting on top of a bunch of Ethereum.
If it makes it more appealing to people putting their money into it, then hey,
definitely
man,
does. It definitely would, because it's like if you have more Ethereum, then you're higher likelihood that you're going to process a transaction. So it's almost like
it's like almost encouraging more money to get put in the system and less energy being, put out into the environment or whatever.
It's fucking new capitalism.
No cap.
It's kind of fucked up.
It's cool, but another thing too with the crypto, I think that because you were having an issue with it, Glenn was having an issue with it. I'm locked in here and I'm loving it, bro.
What bank are you with?
I'm with Scotiabank. But Lindsay is setting it up, and she's been having some issues she's been trying to set up an account for the last like 3 hours.
Is
But
she with Scotiabank?
No, she's with I forget. But I don't want to give out anyone's banking information or anything here.
No, just what bank you're with isn't a big deal, but maybe it is. I have no idea. I don't care. I'm with fucking BMO.
I YOLO'd a little bit today, and I put $50 into this coin called Shiba, and it's like basically it's being labeled as the Dogecoin killer. So it's essentially it's like more of a community driven coin, where Dogecoin is essentially it's less of a very useful project. It's just the popularity and community behind it is what is making companies start.
I feel like Doge is like GameStop.
Well, Dogecoin is actually it's like in the top 5 highest market cap of cryptocurrencies now. So regardless, it has a lot. It's worth more than like Starbucks and shit now. But there's this other one that's coming up, and it's important. I think it's important because if you get into Dogecoin now, it's almost like it's too late because everybody already knows about it. It's mainstream. It's huge. Whatever.
I don't think it's too late. I don't think it's too late for any of this stuff.
It's not. It's not too late, but it's like you're not going to probably get like the 100x, 1000x returns that you would have got if you got into it in like December. But that's a fact.
But if they find a way to utilize it, if they find a reason to actually create value for it, then it's going to change the game. It'll actually probably become the number 1 or number 2 coin because right now it's just a hype-based thing. You know,
there's endless amounts that can be produced with Dogecoin.
Well, which means that it actually has no value.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but the thing is with Bitcoin, there only can be like 21 million Bitcoins mined, I believe. Or there's a limited number nonetheless, which is why the price of Bitcoin can only become more valuable because it's more rare with Dogecoin. But there's this other one called Shiba Coin, bro. Shiba Coin. I got it into Shiba. I dropped 50 on Shiba Coin today because that is what's suspected to be like the and it went on a crazy run this week. Like I don't know if you could see right here. I only put $50 into it, but for $50, you know how many of these Shibas I have? 3,100,000 of these coins for $100. And I watched this video of this guy before. I think he put like 1,000 into it. And I'll tell you how much one is worth. He put 1,000 into it a few months ago, and it went on an insane run a couple days ago. Let me show you right here. And I'm not, and I'm obviously not someone that's just out here buying shitty cryptos and companies and shit. I also am heavily kind of getting into this VET chain, which is actually a real world use piece of technology that is being picked up by big companies or whatever, and it's like a top 10 crypto, which I believe is going to be a game changer and make a lot of money moving forward. But this one is just kind of for fun, but it might blow up again. But it went up like crazy. But this guy, he said he put like 1,000 into it a few months ago, and he made like $1 million like the other day. So and the crazy thing is with some of this shit was like with the stock market, it closes. So with crypto, you could have your money in something and you could be asleep and it could explode.
Well, you know what I mean?
You could wake up.
That's what I was saying, dude. I wake up in the middle of the night, like often, just for a second, and like I'll just literally I have crypto.com and investing.com. I have like certain like cryptos on my watch list, right? And they just send me notifications for these things. So like I'll wake up in the middle of the night, I just check my phone to see what time it is, and I'll have a notification. It'll be like Ethereum is up fucking this much, and like that was.
I love those notifications.
And so, well, I got one the other day, and this was, remember I was telling you like Wealth Simple did some weird shit the other day. So like they were like doing some sort of maintenance or something. Like you couldn't get into, I don't know if you noticed the other night, you couldn't get into Wealth Simple. It said that they were doing maintenance.
Yeah, I did. It was doing some maintenance. Yeah.
So that night, I checked my phone at like 3 a.m. or something. Like I woke up a couple times. First time I woke up, it was like 1 or something. I checked my phone. It still said it was doing maintenance because I was just trying to check my Ethereum, what it was worth. And then I checked again at like 3 a.m. And where I had, so there was a merger that happened between two cannabis companies, Afria.
I know, Mackie was telling me about it. Yeah. Did that happen?
Yes, that happened, right?
Set the price up a bit? Because he was telling me that I should get into it.
You should get into it. Actually, Tilray is at a steal right now. It is at a very big steal right now because this merger actually created the biggest cannabis company in the world. Like they're the biggest legitimate cannabis company in the world.
Euphoria,
So
and is that how you pronounce it? Euphoria?
it's Aphria. I think he pronounces it Euphoria, but I don't know if you read it. That's how I read it. Anyway. Yeah, Ethereum. I don't know. But anyway, the Tilray is it's the biggest weed company in the world. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I owned like $86 worth of it. Like I only owned a couple shares in it, 5 shares or something like that. And the day before that was when they finalized the transaction between Tilray and Aphria and condensed the shares. So like for every 1 share that you had in Aphria, you would get 0.8 something shares in Tilray. So they did that. They gave me my Tilray shares, and then they gave me like the remainder in change, which was like $3 and something cents, and put it back into my account. So I had like $3.70, I think it was, to trade, available to trade in Wealthsimple. And then after that maintenance happened, the full amount of money that my Aphria shares were worth appeared in my fucking available to trade account. I was like, that doesn't make sense. I don't know where this money came from. And I noticed, I was just like, my balance went up like almost $100 or something. Like my whole trading thing went up, and I was like, what happened there? Like, it's, markets are closed. Why did that happen? And I looked, and it was like, you have $87 or something like that available to trade. And I was like, what? I was like, where'd this come from? I was like, where's this come from? And then I was like, well, if I have it, is it sitting there? Like, could I move it over to my crypto account? And it was available for me to move to my crypto account. And then I think when I woke up later on in the morning, that trade went through, like it put it over into my crypto account, and then I bought some Ethereum, and it was like down 11% at that point.
Yeah.
And actually, it might have been less than that.
So basically the app glitched while it was doing maintenance and gave you $86 unintentionally, and then you
dropped it on Ethereum, and then I made $100.
Oh, that's the craziest finesse, man. Wealthsimple should be in. That's what they just gave us for shouting them out on the last episode. So shout out to Wealthsimple. That's the stock market share company, whatever. That's a brokerage, whatever. Sign up, use it. We got to get our referral links in the fucking description if we're going to be talking about the trading and stuff.
Yeah, but anyway, point being, I dropped $86 that was just randomly given
free
to
86,
me.
Man, and that 86
and
probably
I made $100 like right off of that, like immediately.
Do the math for the quantity that you purchased of Ethereum, with it being worth probably like $4,500 when you got that $86 right now, and if it continues,
it was worth less than that, dude. Like that was before. I think that was before it cracked 4K. Like
that's great, man.
Ethereum went on a crazy run this week.
$100,000. That free money could probably be a few thousand at its very peak. So
exactly. That just goes to show like $86. That can go a long way in terms of growth. Like this, I feel like Ethereum is nowhere near being done.
Oh man, Ethereum is going to be. Ethereum is like one of the next biggest things is the fucking internet. If you're listening to this right now, do your own research. The stereotypical, I am not a financial advisor, but bitch is.
Just to show people, let me get this on the camera here.
A little bit of history.
There is almost no decline other than that little spot that you can see right there. And this entire history, there was no decline in Ethereum, and it's nowhere near stopping. Like,
shout out to my Uncle Shane for purchasing various different. I don't know how much he got, but he bought Ethereum in 2017 when it was only worth $200 for a full one, and now one of them is about $4,500. So I don't know how much he got, but I know that he must be up pretty substantially right now. But we're not pocket watching over here. I just like being transparent about money and stuff, and hearing
I don't even
knowing other people's money.
I don't understand.
I don't mind that at all.
I
think it's inspiring. It helps. I would love to be able to share our journeys through this. And I'm no expert by any means, but I do watch a lot of videos. I've been watching a lot of technical analysis videos where they're showing the screen and like the patterns of how this goes up. And if it beats this if it goes past this resistance, it might drop. But if it breaks this, then it has a new. Today's low will be a high low and all this shit. It's interesting. But I want to get to this real quick because I don't want to stay on this for too long. But this Shiba Inu, like I was saying, I have, right now, and they have a very strong online presence as well. Like they have a big community similar to Dogecoin, and they are still like a top 25 crypto. And I actually it's just interesting. Anything that you invest in, you can always go on Twitter and just type in the ticker symbol, and you'll feel good because you can see all these other people commenting on the same thing that you're invested in as well, and you see their enthusiasm, or you'll get news about what you're investing in all the time by just going on Twitter, Google, whatever. But the sense of community definitely is cool, especially with crypto. But excuse me, I saw what's his name, Aaron Carter's brother. Backstreet Boys, Nick Carter, like he tweeted about, because it's been going crazy the last day or so.
Shiba?
He tweeted Shiba. Oh yeah, he tweeted it and everything. And this is like before it's going to be really popular and stuff. I mean, I only had $50 in it, but you don't have to have that much of an upfront investment, because something like that is like.
Well, the thing is when you can, like you said, you have what, 3,100,000?
Yeah, bro. If that ever went to $1,
so if that goes up a cent.
Oh, exactly. So that's what I was going to say, because that's the push. The same push with trying to get Dogecoin to $1. The same push is going right now with the Shiba to try to get it to a cent. And if that goes to 1 cent American, that's 12 cents Canadian. And you know what that I'm going to put a little bit more money in this. You know how much that 3,100,000 Shiba coins would be worth if that goes to 1 cent?
No, bro. Well, sorry, that would be the increase. If it went up 1 cent, would be $3,100 every time it goes up a cent.
Bro, if 3,100,000 of these, if that goes to 1 cent, that's $372,000.
What? How does that make sense? Because you're just 30. Wait, what is the cost of it? Or what is one worth?
Right now? Okay, so right now, one of these is worth. It's worth 0.00001876 cents. It's like worth like.
What I'm saying is, you take 3,100,000
and multiply it by 12 cents.
No. I said 1 cent. If it goes up 1 cent, like 1 cent increase would be $3,100.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, yes, but right now it's worth like nothing. So
but that's what I'm saying is that going up 1 cent, your $50,000 or your $50 investment makes you $3,100 every time that goes up a cent.
Yes, I have no idea. That's basically what I just did was I basically was like, if it gets 12 cents Canadian, which is 1 cent US, just hypothetically, that.
Wait, what? It's 12 cents.
It's not a cent at all right now. It's
no, I know, but
below a cent.
Did you say 12 cents Canadian is 1 cent US?
No, I said 1 cent US is 12 cents Canadian.
That can't be right.
It's right here.
No, that's 1.2 cents.
Wait, what?
Look at the decimal points.
Wait.
1 cent is 0.1.
No, I went to US dollar and then, yeah, it's 0.1. 1 cent US. 0.01 is 1 cent. And that makes it 0.012 Canadian dollars.
Yes.
So 0.
That's 1.2 cents, not 12 cents.
Okay, it says 37,200. Regardless, it'll make some money. I don't feel like I want to do a bunch of fucking math right now. Especially after I get one period, I just feel like I'm all over the place. But it will make a lot of money.
Yeah, every time that goes up 1 cent, you will go up $3,100.
Yeah, right now it's worth 0.00001830. I was just multiplying the 3 million by 0.12, which is 12 cents.
No. Or yes, but you have 10 cents there. 0.1 is not 1 cent. That's 10 cents.
No, I know. 0.1 is 10 cents. I know.
You had 0.9.
So 0. Yeah. So 0. Yeah. 0.
0.01.
This is the worst fucking episode yet, bro. Anyway, let's move on. Fuck this, man. I don't give a shit. I had a math tutor in grade 12. Regardless, I'm putting my money in the right place and doing the research on what I'm going to do.
There's potential for huge growth.
You were just using
decimal points. That's
we're going to be using decimal points. I had it figured out before. I'm fucking. I'm drinking now. I don't give a shit. Fuck you. Anyway, I'm going to I want to just touch on some quick things that Elon Musk said last night. He dropped a banger. He said, he said, what I wrote this here. One of the funny things that he said was some people just know him strictly for smoking weed on the Joe Rogan podcast. That's what they know him for. He was like, as if I just go around from podcast to podcast, lighting up joints. That's like if they said, yeah, well, that's kind of what you do. And he was like,
I just go to one podcast and hit bongs off camera because you're usually talking.
Yeah, true. And he said it's like reducing O.J. Simpson to just murderer. He was like, that was one time. And then he was like, O.J. also hosted the show in 1979 and again in 1996. And then he said, killed both times. I was like, Elon, that's some fucking heavy. That's some deep comedian shit. And so when he appeared on the Weekend Update segment, he explained cryptocurrency, called himself the Doge father, and then he continued to give the background behind Dogecoin and its origin and its use. And it was funny because they kept pressing him, the two hosts of the Weekend Update segment. They were like, so what is Dogecoin? And then he would explain it, and then they were like, okay, yeah, that makes. He was like, they're like, okay, yeah. So what is Dogecoin? And he would keep answering and giving a different explanation, and they would be like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. But like, what is? They just kept like, because it was like no one understands, right? So we can't even do fucking math. So or I can't. And it was just funny. They were like, okay, so it's a hustle, and he was like, yeah, it's a hustle. And then he goes to the moon, and then it fucking tanked. But just for clarity.
I feel like there's a lot of people that are invested in it. It absolutely is true. I feel like there's a lot of people that are invested in it that don't understand the point that we just spoke about a minute ago, is that you can make infinite of it. So there is zero value. You know what I mean? Like when you have
it's like actual currency, right? Because like inflation and shit. It's like that is the difference with like Bitcoin and stuff and stuff that there's a limited amount that can be made when there's a limited amount that can be made.
Yeah, like if you have 5 of something, and then somebody buys 1 of them. Now there's only 4 of that thing. That creates more urgency. Now somebody bought another one. Now there's only 3 left. Now the price goes up because there's only 3 that are left. 2, 1. So like that's how the price goes up, is by there becoming less. There's more like urgency to get what's left, basically. So if you can create an infinite amount of something, there's no real reason for the price to go up. It's basically this, Bitcoin goes up.
Well, that does a lot of a testament to the fact that how many people are putting money into this shit in the fucking first place. For the price to even go up in the first place,
it is insane. I feel like it's a big meme, but it's
oh, it's more than a meme, bro. That shit is a $84 billion market cap at this point. That is bigger than a lot of chains that are fucking relatively respected big companies.
It's a confusing thing to look at, but it's something that has no value, that has more value than
a lot of shit. Well, it has value now.
Companies.
I mean, bro, you can buy some Dallas Mavericks merchandise with Dogecoin, baby, and you can buy a fucking Slim Jim as well. So
that's what I'm saying. It needs application. It needs application, and it needs to become finite. If they put a finite number on it, it would fucking, with the amount of money that's in it right now, like if they're like, all right, now there's 100 million Dogecoin, and then everybody has to have an actual value attached to the amount that they have.
Yeah, that price goes way up because it's so much limited. Exactly. But when there's unbelievable amounts, the fact that it's almost close to
it's not unbelievable amounts, it's infinite amounts.
Well, okay. But like if it goes to $1 US, that's impressive as fuck. I mean, that
but you just can't pin it up to $1 because it has an infinite amount. Which is kind of funny because technically so does money, but
that's what I'm saying. It's like if it's worth it, it's like the same as actual $1 bill, and dollars are you could print an infinite amount of those as well.
You can, but there's like it's finite. You know what I mean? It's not, but it is. There's like a kind of limit I think put on that, but where there's literally zero limit put on Dogecoin, it's in a confusing spot where it has an insane amount of value, but technically speaking has zero value. You know what I mean?
Well, it just depends on what you're actually capable of getting from, at the end of the day, I think over 50% of the people, probably fucking 80% of the people that are invested in any of these cryptocurrencies, really at the end of the day, aren't investing in them to hopefully pray that they're invested in the thing that is going to be worth more than the actual dollar in the country that they're in, and it's going to be the new version of currency. Like, I think they want to invest in it because they know that it's going to grow based off of the news. That's what people say. They say, what is it? Buy the rumor and sell the news. Like
it's a hype train.
everyone,
It's the
yeah,
supreme of
ride
crypto.
the hype train, and then once some actual concrete news comes out about whatever you're putting your money into that is legitimate, that gives what you have invested in, when it was a rumor and there was a lot of speculation around its potential to be an actual game-changing thing, that's when you sell. Like when you buy it when everyone's talking about it or where they're not talking about it, but you see some things here and there, and then when it actually gets some legitimacy and some cosigns by people that really trust it, or that are really trusted by people, that's when you sell it, because it's going to go up like crazy. But that's the fucking money segment today. But kind of switching that, which is still kind of in this realm. Did you see that Xxxtentacion's mom is they partnered with this company called Yellow something. But anyway, they're partnering up to release unreleased SoundCloud songs and footage from the only tour that he's ever done as exclusive NFTs. And I'll read this here. To orchestrate the drop, Xxxtentacion's manager. Oh my God! Some music is playing on this website that I have open here, and it's in my headphones. It's super loud.
I can't hear it, so it's cool.
Okay, that's good. But they teamed up with the blockchain-centric company Yellowheart, which also handled the King of Leon NFTs earlier this year. They enlisted Stephen Bliss, the artist behind X's favorite game, Grand Theft Auto, to create unique art for the tokens. Let me see here. There was a quote that they said, basically it says, not everything with this drop is cloaked in secrecy, though, without revealing titles. They told Rolling Stone that 5 songs are involved in the NFT drop. Although they were all big on SoundCloud, we never had the opportunity to monetize them or bring them off the platform. They never could monetize them. Oh, that's unfortunate that they couldn't make money off.
I thought I saw something like a screenshot from his mom on Instagram saying that it was like they weren't profiting off of it or something.
Yeah, she tried to cover it up by saying that they were
free.
giving it out to a charity, but then the company that literally is making these NFTs are saying we need to take these songs and stuff because they were removed off SoundCloud, or they're on SoundCloud for free and they're rare, and we got to re-release them along with the concert footage because we never got to monetize them. There is a percentage from the proceeds that are going to go to the foundation that was created after he died, which actually donates money to like domestic abuse victims, I believe, and something else here. But
even if you're a non-for-profit, I'm pretty sure you can keep something like it's in the teens % of that.
No, they're definitely monetizing this for their own
enrichment.
Gain, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Well, she gets a lot of backlash whenever they do literally anything. They said, I firmly believe in the project. I feel drawn to it, and I think it's important. This is someone from the company that is producing the NFTs. They said there's tens of millions of fans that want what we're about to give them. This is what excites me more than anything, to make NFTs accessible for a broader group. Their marketplace will be one of the first to accept both crypto payments and standard credit cards. He sees this drop as a harbinger, representing NFTs' broader potential for music. Hopefully by us putting out the most quality, deeply thought out, creative content that fans really want, we can really show why this tech is important. It says they're donating its cut of proceeds to the XXX Foundation, a nonprofit started after he passed, and to a number of organizations that help women dealing with domestic abuse.
So they're cutting a portion to give to a non-for-profit, which
and a portion could be 2%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and
depending
then
on what the number is.
On top of that, like, they're going to take their piece, and then money goes into the foundation, which I'm sure his mom has a hand in, and she can skim money off there too.
Yeah.
It's not charity is funny. Like when you're talking about a lot of money, like when you're somebody, because I mean, there's tons of people that are millionaires, billionaires that donate to charity with good faith. Like they're trying to be good people. But it's funny when you donate, when you make giant donations, like millions and millions of dollars, say, to a non-for-profit, and there's people that are employed by that non-for-profit, and the reason why you're able to, I'm assuming the reason why you're able to take some of that money is to pay people and whatnot. Now, like I said, if that's, say, let's just throw a number at it, 15%. I'm not sure off the top of my head what that number is, but let's just say it's 15% of that money can go toward, can be profited off of that transaction to the non-for-profit. And you're sitting at the top of that and you say, okay, all my employees get, minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a $300,000 chunk left at the end. That's going in your pocket. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, but here's the thing. Okay, obviously, like, she backpedaled a bunch because Xxxtentacion has some of the most, clingy fans to anything that's associated with his brand, because he was so direct with his audience and how vulnerable a lot of his music was. They're very connected with him, and I know that his music is therapeutic to a lot of teenagers and any of his fans that are like diehard X fans. So I understand how any decision that is made after he's passed can make them feel a certain way, and they have every right to voice their concerns about that, definitely. But at the same time, I know that X had a rocky relationship with his mother. I remember reading stuff previously. I haven't really read up on a lot of stuff surrounding X in a few years, so my memory regarding all the information that I consumed about him is a little bit hazy. But I know that he had issues with her, like he ran away from home and he would like intentionally put himself in rough situations to basically try to get her attention while he was alive. And I think that they were on good terms before he passed. Like, I think that he was righting a lot of his wrongs leading up to the about 6 months before he unfortunately was killed. But I think, excuse me, but I think that his fans get very angry when they do literally anything. And I think that some of the stuff that they have done since he's passed away have been out of taste a little bit, like basically just taking like probably like unfinished demos and putting like a Kanye West feature on them, and like releasing albums that he probably wouldn't have approved of creatively after he died. Like his music was very
he was a true artist. Like, he was as fucked up as he was as a person. And
I think
like
he was
working on that
person. Like a lot of his
real artist.
Yeah, and I think that he didn't ever had like a specific sound that he aligned with. He could do the boom bap hip hop beats. He could do the SoundCloud distorted fucking
he had his
bass
own sound too. Like, he had a lot
and
going
he could
on.
do pop
musically.
music. He could do fucking metal music, hardcore, rock, like, he could do all that shit. I think that's what made him really appreciated by a lot of music critics. But at the end of the day, the more like commercialized, like I'm pretty sure they had like a Rick Ross feature on one of his songs. Like, realistically, like, yes, they're both from Florida, but two very different lanes in music that would probably not have happened while he was alive. But just is a lot of like strange decisions that just seemed like they were really money motivated after he died, and weren't necessarily done for the sake of exploiting his art further. But at the end of the day, regardless of the relationship that he had with his mom, I think that it's a little bit entitled for fans to think that they can. I mean, everyone can have an input, definitely, and they can make assumptions about people's reasonings behind doing certain things. But it's like, don't you think, don't you think that if an artist passed away, if anybody was going to profit off of the work that they made while they were on this planet, don't you think that it would be their family? Wouldn't they want their mother to make money off of what they did while they were here if they were on good terms? Like I hate that they said of a little Peeps mom who that whole situation. They were, from what my understanding was, he had a good relationship with his mom. The only thing that makes it a little bit controversial was X is because people thought it was publicly known that he had issues with his mother while he was alive, that could be the case for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, they still loved each other. So why would you not want his mother to be taken care of by what he did while he was on this planet after he passed away? He would want that. And if he told all them that, they shut the fuck up. But he's dead, so he can't. But
yeah, that really would depend. I mean, and whether or not him and his mother were on good terms is
who's
really
gonna
anybody's business.
Who's gonna get the money?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, his fans, like some fucking random kid and fucking.
Like, if it wasn't going to his
kid.
mom, it'd be going to some fucking label or somebody else. You know what I mean? It'd be going somewhere. But like, I feel like, yeah, it's not in the public's decision to, even if he was on bad terms with his mother, decide on those things.
Yeah, exactly. And if they were not fed
I'm sure that money also is going towards his son. You know what I mean? Like
100%, bro. Like, what do you don't want his, like, it is kept within the family. His mom probably is in the same house as his son and is helping raise his son. Well, you don't want his son to be taken care of off of the work that he did when he was alive. Like, fans are fucking never satisfied, and they're selfish for the most part.
Well, it's
I'm not trying to shit on fans, but I know there's probably a lot of reasonable fans of X as well. But there's like, every time I look in these comments,
I'm a reasonable fan of X, man. I'm not going to sit here and fucking debate with people online about where the fucking money's going. He's not alive to fucking spend it. If it's going to his mom, good. It's helping his family, whether he wanted to or not. That's his fucking blood. You know what I mean? Like, I've had good times and bad times with my mom. If I created something that fucking made a ton of money and it went to
Exactly.
her, I wouldn't be mad at it. You know what I mean? I couldn't be mad at it
100%.
because I'm dead. But if it did, I wouldn't. If it did
Yeah.
and I wasn't, and I could be there to witness, I wouldn't be mad
Yeah.
at it.
If you got in a fight with your mom and didn't talk to her for 6 months and
And
you
honestly,
fucking
when
got
you're a
shot.
kid too, and you get in fights with your mom, like in retrospect, like I had to do a lot of fucking growing up because I have my own children. You know what I mean? Like I just had to understand the reasons why. Like I've had opinions before I had kids that I don't hold now. You know what I mean? About like my own behavior, how I represent myself, certain things, you know what I mean? Like, and how I communicate with them, you know what I mean? Things that I was like, things that before I had kids, I was like, oh, if, when I have kids, I'm going to say this and do this. And, I want them to see things for how they really are. And, you try to protect your kids when you really have them. And you don't show them everything. You try to guide them well, and you try to show them what you can, but you also don't show them everything. And I don't know everything about that yet because my kids are only little. But I
Yeah.
can only imagine, when you get into like the teenage years, it's like you don't want to see that person hurt. And sometimes I can reflect on times to my own father and my own mother where it's like I can understand why we came to disagreements because they didn't want to see me hurt. You know what I mean? They didn't want me to see me fail and things like that. And so that can create tension. And there's also this part of, you get to a certain age, and I think that it's a natural part of the process of growing up where tensions between you and the adults around you become very easy. And that is because that natural force of the nature of human beings makes you go out and become your own adult. You know what I mean? That division between you and the adults around you makes you go inform your own opinions. And you're going to go through this period between the time, like for me, it was when I was like 16, 17 to like 20, 21, where it was like, fuck any other adult's opinion. I'm going to fucking, I know, everything. And then until you sit back and you realize that you don't know everything. And now it's like you're a student again. Like that's how I feel now. Like I look back now at like all the fucking things that my dad did, and I'm like, why did you, at the time I was like, why are you doing this to me? And now I'm like, oh, this is why you said this. This is why you went about things this way. So there's all this tension that comes up when you're in that age range that
Exactly,
you're
man.
gonna
And
have
it's
problems with your
unfortunate because
parents.
he
You know what I
died
mean? It's not that
at
he
20
didn't love
years
his
old.
mom. It's that you get into these situations where you're gonna have tension.
He died when he was 20 years old. He didn't get the opportunity to live long enough to mature to the point where he mended that relationship and it was sustained for the rest of his life.
Yeah, it's a baby, dude. Like it's fucked up.
Yeah, like fans should really not, and just be grateful you're fans of the artist, right? So be happy when they're not going to make new music.
If you can
So be
separate the
happy when you
artist
get it.
from the art and look past all the things that he had done, and I'm not trying to make a comment on the type of person that he was because I believe that he was trying to work on himself as a human being towards his death. But if you can look past all of the things that he did to other people and be a fan of his music, you should be able to look past, even if his mom is being a greedy piece of shit, and appreciate the music. You know what I
Yeah, I don't
mean?
know what her intentions are, but I have no transparent information to make an opinion off that. So I think that at the end of the day, when you don't really see that with Mac Miller though. Mac Miller passed away, and anything that was done following Mac Miller's passing, there was never like, oh, his family is being greedy, trying to monetize his work. But it's different because his family has taken a very calculated, strict, like they've been very, very conservative with what they have shared that has been official since he's passed away. And I can respect that. Like Circles will most likely be the last Mac Miller project that'll ever be released because Mac Miller's music was done in projects. He wasn't making individual songs on the fly with no purpose. I'm sure he was, but they were maybe never intended to be a part of a project. So he was working on projects individually at a time. Maybe he made a song here and there, and then he would start to piece together an album based off of this giant collection of songs. But if it was never vocalize to the people around him that, hey, this song and this song and this song and this song is going to make this, and this is what I'm going to call this, then it's most likely a fact that is never going to come out. I truly believe that Circles will be the last project that the Mac Miller estate will ever release. But this is a great segue into the next topic following the X shit. I have this up here. So there's going to be actually an official Mac autobiography, I believe, being released in November. It's called, let me see here. It's called The Book of Mack.
I think
and it's written by
that what you were just saying about him not having any sort of like unofficial releases post death kind of relates to this topic that we're about to talk about here with the books, where essentially they're trying to block in some sort of sense this other book that somebody else wrote.
Oh, you've seen this?
I've seen something about it, yeah, but it kind of relates, you know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't want to release anything that isn't official or approved by him, and I feel like this is kind of the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas people might look at the music thing like, oh, you're not going to release his singles or whatever, as being kind of, I don't know, I guess, like you said, conservative. I feel like it's the same thing with this book. It's like they don't want to tarnish a reputation. They don't want to release anything that he hasn't approved of, right?
Exactly. And they're very cautious with how they release anything following his passing, because he was heavily involved with any kind of project that was coming out while he was alive. Obviously, he was making it. But the thing is, you know, and I think that the Mac Miller estate and the family, they have an understanding of how committed he was to his artistry and the music that he was producing, that they wouldn't dare dive into a stash of 1,000+ songs.
Oh, dude, he's probably got so much fucking music in the tuck. Like,
yeah,
they could go forever, but it's like
26 when he passed away. I mean, the dude lived in the studio for like 4 years. His entire drug addiction came from the fact that he didn't leave that fucking room that was in his mansion in LA for months. And I think that's why I still think Faces is one of his best projects, because it is the most honest, deep dive into the conflicted mind of someone who is just abusing these drugs, but doing it in a oddly productive way, and he's just pumping out all this music and this raw expression.
I find as I get older too, like I was saying before, like my opinions changed and stuff, but like as I get older, I was listening to Mac Miller yesterday in the car, and I was like, I used to be in a headspace where I could really relate to this, and now I'm not. You know what I mean? So like I listen to it now and I'm just like, I can understand why my mind state was sustained for so long, because and it's messed up, because I'm not blaming him or anything, but it was like this person who wiggled their way into becoming like an idol of mine had these experiences that when I was in my most messed up state, I could relate to.
Yeah,
and
it
was almost like somebody was on this like pedestal that I was like, okay, if he's doing it and I'm doing this, it's okay. You know what I mean?
Which is a sad way of relating to it. Not sad, but it's unfortunate that his music kind of almost validated somebody in a bad place, being like, okay, well, if Mac Miller's going through it and he communicated this relatably
to you.
Communicate this relatably to you. That's a weird way to put that together, but yeah, it almost is like, okay, well, if he is going through this as well, at least I'm not alone, which is a very powerful impact the song can have. And the fact that he was that vulnerable, I think that project in particular, Faces, does not get as much credit as it should.
Absolutely,
but anyway,
doesn't. That's like is that on DatPiff? Where did that come from?
It's on DatPiff, man. They got it. If anything, they're gonna do.
That's DatPiff gold.
That they have done some stuff like that since he's passed away. Like put Best Day Ever out on streaming services, and they can kind of like further make certain projects that
modernizing things that already existed.
Yeah, like make it more available, because at the time of Best Day Ever and even Faces, like after the live mixtapes and the mixtape era was coming to an end, but it still was very prevalent and dominant in a sense. So I think the Faces, I mean, that could be, but it is a darker project, especially with the topic. So who knows if they would want to kind of like take to the forefront on streaming services project that kind of like let the project that touched on topics that contributed to the activity that made him pass away.
But that was probably his most artistic piece.
It was the rawest for sure. Some songs are almost uncomfortable to listen to, especially knowing how he passed. But anyway, with this book though, his family issued a statement because they have this account. It is called 92 Till Infinity, and basically that's they're so particular they're so conservative and respectful of him after he passed away that they don't even do the same thing that even like the Lil Peep and the X accounts and whoever does, where they post on the actual account. Like if you go look at Mac Miller's Instagram account, there has not been a post on his account since, before he passed away. There's no post on that account, I don't believe at all. There might be one from when Circles came out, I'm not sure. But the 92 Till Infinity on Instagram is where they do any kind of announcements that are official. And that's where they've been making any announcements since he's passed. But they wrote that, let me see here. They issued a statement that said this book is not authorized. There's a book coming out. It's actually going to be coming out after Mac's birthday in January. It's going to be called Most Dope: The Extraordinary Life of Mac Miller. It's written by this author named Paul Cantor. And they said this book is not authorized or endorsed by Malcolm's family and has been written by a writer with whom Malcolm did not have a relationship. And they said, furthermore, the writer had no meaningful access to those that were closest to Malcolm, friends, family, collaborators, etc. In fact, the writer of this book was made aware at the outset of the process writer of this book that the family and friends of Malcolm were uncomfortable with him authoring this biography, yet he chose to proceed against a polite insistence that he do not disservice to Malcolm's legacy through writing a book without legitimate primary sources. The statement goes on to criticize Cantor and the publisher, Abrams Press, for setting the release date of Most Dope for January 18th, the day before Malcolm's birthday. They said, we have been consistently disappointed by the author and publisher's decision to pursue this book, given the full understanding of our discomfort with the circumstances under which it was authored. But utilizing Malcolm's birth date as a marketing tool is exploitive and incredibly disappointed. And the family urged those that wish to support Malcolm and his legacy to abstain from purchasing this new book and the official book about his life. I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely going to buy that. It's called The Book of Mack, and it's written by Donna Claire Chesman, in which the estate was involved in that book. That's interesting, man. I'm looking forward to an actual Mac Miller book. I hope it's honest and to the point. But what do you think about all that? Like, to be someone to write a book without the consent of the family or whatever, just for the purpose of documenting his life and everything, and it's a
very gray area. I think the only thing that you could really say, and you can't even really say this, is that it's like maybe too soon to write your own idea of things before an official kind of recount has been released of like what went down and who he was. But like other than that, it's this weird spot where it's like there is a freedom of speech, you know what I mean? You are able to write whatever you want. It is kind of almost on the cringy level, fucking, taking advantage of his passing with releasing the book. What did you say, the day after or the day before his death? Or the anniversary of his death?
Day before, January 18th, I believe.
Or sorry, his birthday rather, not
January 18th,
anniversary of his death. So I can understand why that's in some cringy area, because obviously you're trying to capitalize off of the people are going to be saying his name more than any other time of the year. So I can see why that being a thing, like that release date being a thing, could be problematic. But I don't feel like it's, there could be 100 guys writing a book about Mac Miller right now.
Well, it's just a level of consistency, because it's like you always see these knockoff merch that is always promoted on Facebook and stuff.
But it's not the same thing. Like, I could write a book about the Cold War. It's not like I was there. You know what I mean? Like, it's not.
I think it's more so to do with the fact that the actual estate and the family reached out to this author, knowing that he had a book deal with the actual publishing company that is about to release this book that he wrote about Mac Miller, and them saying, "Hey, our son is the person that you just spent a lot of time, most likely, this guy probably spent a year or more writing this book," and they're saying, "No, don't put this out." I think out of respect for someone that you probably spent last year researching and making a piece around, that family is telling you, don't go forward with this, because we are not wanting to give you permission to put this out and try to make a profit off of this.
I understand their
I would back out regardless of the amount of time that I put into it, because I know, because you would have to obtain some sort of respect for the person that you're writing about. I think it's more so on the publishing side.
Yes, but it's not necessarily. I think that the release date is kind of disrespectful. It also makes sense financially. Like, we can't pretend that we're
I know
not
on
in an
a
age where
business,
people take advantage of shit like that. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? It's cringy, yes, but it makes sense financially. It just makes sense. But the thing is, like I said, anybody could be writing this book. It's like if you made a fucking documentary about like racing history, and then fucking Ford was like, "Hey, you're talking about our cars. We don't want you to fucking release this book." Like, it's not something that you can really have the reins on. Like, you can't.
I guess
Just
it just
have, it's
depends on
history.
how official
It's
it is,
history, right?
Like, yeah.
This has happened. It's history. So
Mhm.
if you want to write about it, you're free to.
Yeah,
Are you
I
a
agree.
dick? Are you a dick? Yeah, you're a dick.
Yeah.
But you can still do it.
Well, obviously you can still do it because there's no lawsuits being pressed against them that would make
Because
any
you
sense.
can't. So it's like,
Mac Miller
you
was
can
a
look at it
public
from
figure.
a moral standard and say, yeah, this is kind of fucking shallow. But I don't think they have any right to tell anybody not to write anything.
It's not like
I could
nobody
write a
knew who he
slam
was.
article right now about Mac Miller.
Yeah.
What I was just talking about. Oh, he influenced me, and I fucking had all these bad experiences.
Yeah, Mac Miller caused me to do drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could go say that right now. You know what I mean? And write a fucking big shit show about it. They couldn't tell me not to.
And if for anybody watching this, if we clip this or whatever, like, we are the biggest Mac Miller fans of all time. So,
absolutely,
like, when Mac Miller passed away, it was crazy because I remember you were pulling up to my house for the night. I remember telling you, I was like, bro, I was like, man, I am about to break this news to him. And this is like, because Mac Miller was always one of those guys. And this was like, there was a period when people weren't dying, bro. And then it just seemed like everybody fucking died, man. And I remember we said that once because I remember Chester Bennington from Linkin Park passed away. And Linkin Park was like literally my introduction to Linkin Park was my introduction to voluntarily listening to music. And when Chester Bennington, the lead singer of Linkin Park, passed away, I was like, damn, bro, I grew up listening to him. So that kind of hurt, especially because he committed suicide. But then I was always thinking, I was like, because then Lil Peep died, and I was like, I know Mac is not the most sustainable, like sustainable, like, you know, I knew that he had his demons. So I was like, fuck, that would be crazy if he died. And it was nuts. And you pulled up, and I was like, man, guess who died? Like, who?
It's funny because I was waiting for you to say the words of how you said that to me, and that is exactly what you said to me. I mean, I know it's obvious, but I just got it. I remember getting out of my car and you walking out of your house and saying, guess who died? And I was like, I don't know. Like, you're like, Mac Miller. And I was like, it's like, I didn't even know how to respond to that. And I don't even, like, just recalling the memory, don't know how to respond to that now. You know what I mean? It was just
bro,
like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, it still doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like it's probably to a prior generation, like when Michael Jackson died. I remember my sister texting my dad and telling him Michael Jackson just died. And he was like, what? No, he didn't. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I felt.
Well, that was the impact that he had on us. Like,
it was like he could never die. I still have pictures. I have like old pictures from my shitty fucking Samsung phone that I had when we went to that concert when he came to Halifax. Man, and I have it named in a folder somewhere called Wow. So I don't know, it's somewhere on my computer.
Yeah, for what he's representing, like we went to see Mac Miller when he came to Halifax in 2013. That was the first real, like, actual live concert that I ever went to. And what's crazy, bro, is that we had the meet and greet tickets, man.
And they fucked up.
We fucked up on like just the.
No, they fucked up. They changed the way that the lines were working. Like, they added an extra line and they didn't tell us.
What's crazy?
VIP tickets.
What happened was because we had meet and greet tickets, and this was like 4 months after I started putting out music. So we made an individual album of like songs that I already had out there, my best songs that I put out my first mixtape. And
you were between mixtapes. You were like halfway through one.
Yeah.
And we like put this fucking specific mixtape together for this thing.
Yeah, it's like one of a kind. You made its own, like, it had its own artwork and everything, and it was to give to Mac Miller at the meet and greet, man. I was like, I couldn't even describe the anxiety and nerves, but excitement that I had standing in that line. And we were standing at a hotel up the street from the venue that he was performing at. And we left because we were with Riley and J-Cod. And we walked down to because me, you, and Fu, we had the meet and greet tickets. So we went down like 2 hours early before it made sense to go down and get in line for the actual general line for the concert. So we get down there. We know we're early. There's only one line. So we're like, it's got to be the meet and greet line, because why would anyone that just had tickets for the concert that's starting at 8 be here this early? It's like 5 p.m. So we're standing there. And then I thought we were heading to the meet and greet when they opened the doors and everybody came in, but really we were just coming in to get like our bracelets or whatever, and they sent us back outside. And then we're standing forever, and the concert was starting at like 9, and it was getting closer. Remember that guy and
that guy that looked like Mac Miller? The guy that looked like Mac Miller that was selling joints out of a cigarette package?
Yes, there was a guy in the line that looked like Mac Miller. We were smoking the fucking vape in the hotel room, man. That was Glenn's vaporizer, and that was like before anyone was like vaping nicotine. We were just vaping the fucking
vape was huge. It was like fucking like
it was like the fucking vape version of like a like those old telephones that you.
It was like the vape version of a bong. It was huge.
Yeah, it was nuts. It looked like a phone. But anyway, we were in the lineup and we bought those 3 joints off that guy. We smoked all 3 of them in the line. We were waiting for so long. And it was pouring rain. And it was like, it got to a point where we were standing outside for 3 hours. And we asked one of the security guys, we were like encaged in this fence. And we asked him, we were like, when is the meet and greet starting? We've been here for 3 hours. And he was like, I'm pretty sure that ended a half hour ago. And we were like, what? And he was like, but if you can try, he was like, if you jump over this fence, you might be able to make it over to those other doors.
Do you remember what happened to me after that?
Yes. And we were like, can we do that? And he was like, I'm not looking. And we're like, this guy's the man. So I jumped over the fence. It was pouring rain out. Fu jumped over. You go to jump over, and you fucking clip your crotch off the top of the fence, and you rip the crotch.
The heel of, like the heel of my pants, like the cuff on the bottom of my jeans, like hooked on the top of the fence, and I like completely fucking flipped upside down, smacked my face off the fence. I had busted, like the side of my face was all bruised up, and it ripped the crotch out of my pants, and I landed in a wet puddle. And so I was just soaked in water, covered in like fucking mud and water, and my face was smashed, and my jeans were ripped in half. And I fucking went over. I remember going over. Actually, I have the hat right here. Hold on. I'm going to go get the signed Mac Miller hat.
We get the signed Mac Miller hat. He's about to go pick up. Do you have it real close to you, or are you about to go up in your fucking attic and be gone for 6 minutes? But basically, long story short, we went to the other door that they told us we go to, and we were at that door, and they let us in because we had the VIP tickets. So we missed the meet and greet. And fun fact, Quake Matthews was at that door. And we're like, oh, that's Quake. And we went in, but this is the hat they gave us because we didn't get to meet Mac Miller.
We got signed Mac Miller hats. That
I don't know where mine is, which is crazy. I also have a Section 80 album from Kendrick Lamar that I got for Christmas in 2012 that was signed by him on the CD, and it was $10. Probably could flip that Mac Miller hat and that Kendrick Lamar Section 80 for a nice profit, but I don't know where either of them are.
I keep this on top of my grow tent where I grow my weed.
I definitely have it
Mac
somewhere.
Miller's watching over my weed.
Man, that's crazy, bro. Actually, you know what's kind of crazy? I mean, meeting him in person and giving him my CD would have been nice, and having that in my memory. But also having that physical hat with his signature on it definitely is nice to have. I know I have mine in the bag somewhere that I put in when I was moving back from my apartment. But what was crazy about this night as well, because we missed the opportunity to give him the CD of Bond. Remember when we were getting close to the stage and we told everybody to move and they all cooperated with us because we were like, because everyone was like, oh, you got your own CD you wanted to give him, you couldn't give it to him, throw it up. And I was like, And he was playing Euphoria and he was at the piano and you're like, I fucking got this. And you took the CD, bro, and you threw it while Mac was on stage playing Euphoria on the piano, and it hit him in the foot. So I know for a fact that CD with my music on it, when you produced the fucking cover, and I remember a bouncer out, like they said, or someone that worked for him, they were like, well, everything that gets thrown up on stage gets taken back to his tour bus afterwards. They keep it. So who knows? Maybe he fucking got faded later that night, did his thing, and maybe bumped a couple tracks. Yeah. And then we ran into
that artwork was crazy. I actually found that like not that long ago.
That's rare AF, bro. That's like 8 years old.
Yeah, there's like fucking light beaming out of your eyes and shit. It was like fucking.
I'd love to see that, man. I'd love to see it. Those are crazy times, bro. But and remember we ran into Chu Jackson who was opening up for him on that
and
tour.
those
And
kids
we were
fucked it
talking to him.
up.
We were just getting along, man, because we were like, oh, man, that's dope. How do you like it up here? Like, his performance was dope, whatever.
His
He
first
had
time
that.
in Canada, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. They were doing a
I'm
few
pretty sure he
shows.
said something like, "Oh, yeah." I mean, like his
But
probably
we were
first
talking
tour in
to him.
Canada.
We were cool as hell. We were not fanning out. We were like, Mac, that's crazy. You're signed to him. You're going on tour with him. Like, blah, blah, blah. We were just talking to him like a regular person. We were getting along, and those fucking kids came up, and they were like, oh, that's crazy. You stole Mac's shoes in his Instagram story earlier, bro. And we are like, that's ruined, bro. We got to fucking dip. And then we got super faded and got
Oh my
Snappy
God,
Tomato and ran
Snappy
into
Tomato,
Tim on the elevator at 4 a.m.
dude.
It
It's
is
been a
crazy. We
while.
love Snappy Tomato because we were so faded, but that pizza's so mid.
It is not good, but if you're high enough, it's really good. If you like to smoke weed and eat pizza, go to Snappy Tomato Pizza.
Fuck, bro. I gotta pee so bad. I'm not gonna be able to function for the rest of this pod if I don't go pee. I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna look.
Do you want to hold down the fort while I do this? Do you got something anything that's on your mind? This is your segment to kind of bust it out. Anything you're thinking of? I think you could do this. You did a good job last time.
Well, okay. I'm just seeing this.
Talk. I'm heading.
SpaceX to launch Doge 1 to the moon. This is just an article that I've come across. Geometric Energy Corporation announced today the Doge 1 mission to the moon, the first ever commercial lunar payload in history, paid entirely with Doge. Wow. Will launch a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Geometric Energy Corporation's Doge 1 mission to the moon will involve Geometric Space Corporation mission management collaborating with SpaceX to launch a 40-kilogram CubeSat as a ride share on a Falcon 9 lunar payload to mission in quarter 1, 2022. Well, that's boring. I don't know what any of this means. Sorry, Mitch, when you're watching this. Let's see what we got going in the topics here. J. Cole's new single, Interlude. I have listened to this probably 10 times and have not internalized it yet, so I'm not going to get into that. Pop Smoke was killed by a 15-year-old. Yeah, I saw one of Pop Smoke's affiliates saying that the whole story coming up behind that was bullshit or something, which is weird. But like, the crazy thing about it is that this kid stole his Rolex. They basically robbed him because he posted a package that he received online. So I tried to keep it entertaining here, Mitch.
How you doing? How'd you do?
Try to keep it
so fun
entertaining.
watching
I started. You're gonna have a laugh when you get to watch it back. I started reading an article and then it got boring, and I was like, "Ah, damn." And then, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna jump into J. Cole's new single, and I've listened to it like 10 times, but I don't remember any of it, so that wasn't any good. But
I liked when he said Christ died at 33, and so did Pimp C, and so did Nipsey. I never thought of Pimp C and Nipsey as two artists that could rhyme together like that.
That was a solid rhyme. I do remember that. But
that was a type art. I mean, there was a lot. His vocal performance, as far as like a singer, was more impressive than usual throughout that track. I found.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it didn't fall too far outside of like. There was a couple lines that were standout, for sure, but it didn't stray too far from what I think. Obviously not recently we've heard from him, but it felt very familiar. Does that make sense? Like it did.
To a degree, I think it was nice because it was labeled Interlude, and for an interlude as a single, someone who's as big as J. Cole.
Well, if you can drop the interlude as a single, that's pretty heavy. You know,
yeah, I'm sure that will chart to a degree because there was a lot of hype around that. But it's literally an interlude, and I thought for an interlude, like if I was listening through a J. Cole project and that was the interlude, I would probably run that track back. I like that song. It's funny that at the beginning of it, it sounds like there's a sample, but it's actually an original vocal that was like distorted a bit. I forget who it is, but I watched a few videos just kind of on the background of that song. But I think that's a nice setup for J. Cole's obviously a project-oriented artist. He's always has been throughout his career. He doesn't really
he's not a big singles
rely
guy.
on singles. Yeah, he's not really like someone that's putting out a single and needs that to chart and have a big radio push before he puts out an album. So that makes sense. He drops the interlude before the whole project, because I think initially he was saying that he was hoping for the project. He was like, my plan was to drop the project all at once, but you know what? Sometimes you got to say fuck it. But obviously that was planned because they need to drop something big.
There's nothing that goes on in music that isn't planned.
Yeah. Anyone that thought that J. Cole was just sporadically being like, you know what? Fuck it. We're dropping the interlude tonight. No, they got this shit planned out. There's a documentary that's dropping, I believe, tomorrow about the process of him making this off-season project, which is going to be interesting to see. I think it's technically labeled as a mixtape, but that shit's not a mixtape. There's no mixtape anymore.
Well, that's something I actually meant to bring up earlier. When we were talking about Mac Miller and Faces, is because I was talking to Emily about this the other day. Like, in today's today, you don't really like I think the reason that most people drop mixtapes before is because before the internet really took steam in the hip hop game, and I mean it has ever since its creation, but before you could really become your own boss in it, before you could become your own CEO kind of thing in your own label, or just release things independently, labels had such a big part to do with the funding of your project that you had to meet their standards. So the way that people would get around that, you know what I mean, and make their own, whatever they wanted to make, was through mixtapes. So it was music that you weren't monetizing technically, even though you could probably perform some of that shit on tour.
You could perform all those songs. Those songs can make you super popular, and you can sell a bunch of tickets based on the popularity of these songs.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, your fans would probably want to hear your mixtape shit before they heard your album shit. You know what I mean? Like your diehards, like they would want to hear your mixtape stuff because you're not filtering yourself, and that's what it was. But I was basically, you just answered the question, I guess. But what I was gonna bring up was like, is there a point in having a mixtape anymore? Because I think what it comes down to is what your label situation is. Because there's certain people that are going to be signed to a label but have full creative control and have that in their contract, and they could release whatever they want. So why would you have a mixtape? But if you're in a really bound up mixtape album or contract situation, you would kind of want a place to be able to freely drop your thoughts on a beat or whatever, you know what I mean, or experiment with a sound.
Yeah, it doesn't have like a commercial agenda attached to it at all. It's just basically this is how I feel like
that. I feel like that still is. I feel like that is missing.
Well, in a sense, it benefits the labels a lot too, because it's like the fans might get the fans might feel very attached to the artist based on what they convey from their raw thoughts within the mixtape, because it's really what they want to make, and it's a little bit more raw and direct and not as polished, and they become super fans and they listen to the album much more.
It lets them test the waters vicariously. You know what I mean? Like, they don't actually have to release an album that sucks, but if the artist releases a mixtape that sucks, then fine, it didn't work, and they'll never release an album like that. But if they release a mixtape that's fucking boom, like it's just,
there's not really much
platinum, it's like, okay, well, let's make the next album sound like this. You know
exactly. It's like let's test the waters with this mixtape and this direction of sound that I might be experimenting with, and if it gets a positive reception, we know that for the thing that we're actually going to be able to monetize, we're going to kind of carry that direction more onto that, because people want that from.
But I feel like there would be a benefit to that still existing, but it's a weird kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of almost like you don't know where to put it.
Needs it. Well, it's not even that. There's nowhere to put it, but not everybody needs it. Like, if you're in a bound up fucking label situation, then you need it. You know what I mean? Like, you need that creative outlet to see if you can change what you're doing without fucking up the flow with your
especially within COVID, man. If you're in a fucked up label situation right now, you're definitely not dropping music, because that's the only reason artists get really signed by labels. That's the whole fucking scam, bro. It's because the labels want to be able to sign the artists, and usually a lot of those contracts, and I can't necessarily speak on it because I've never had a fucking major label reach out to me trying to sign me, but that is the gain for them, is because they sign artists and then they gain the rights to receive majority of the percentages of the royalties from their masters. So the Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube streams, and all that shit from the actual work that they create. The labels are like, we want to get the royalties from majority of the works that you put out, and then you get your money from merch and shows. You got to do shows, but if you can't do shows and you're just putting out music, you're not really going to make that much money. Yeah, but that's give or take. But long story short, this J. Cole mixtape, if it's a mixtape, it's not really a mixtape, because if it's coming out on Apple Music, Spotify, it's being manufactured and distributed just like any album. It'll have first week sales. The only way that this project will be a mixtape will be if it doesn't come out on streaming services, and the Interlude just did, so it's an album. And but I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. I think we need a project like that, because when I really think about what has dropped so far this year, I'm listening to a new album every week, but none of like the god tier rappers are releasing.
They're not out here right now.
Yeah, and
I can't wait for that, because isn't
new shows?
Drake's dropping too, isn't he?
Well, we talked about this last week.
Yeah. So
yes,
there's gonna be a lot of interesting stuff happening.
Kendrick ain't never dropping. Kendrick's gonna go J Electronica mode and never fucking appear again, especially after the letdown with the TDE announcement to put out like a fucking an Isaiah Rashad
Whatever came out.
Even,
is that what it was?
Yeah, it's featuring Duke Deuce, who's an artist, I believe, from Memphis. He's actually signed with Quality Control. He's known for like his fucking crazy dance moves and shit. I have not dived into him too much.
They're gonna do what I said. They're gonna do exactly what I said.
I like that. I like that theory. I like that theory a lot, but we'll see. Actually, switching topics here. An interesting theory. I was on. Shout out to my boy Chris Searle. He's a major supporter of this podcast. He needs to come on eventually. I've done like 5 episodes on his podcast by this point now. He's based in Halifax. Definitely go check out his podcast. But yeah, he's been a fan of like music and everything. But I've done enough interviews with him, and he's kind of always been like kind of pushed me in this direction to do something like this. And I asked him last night when I was on his podcast. We just did it through Zoom, like what he actually listens to as far as podcasts throughout the week. Because I'm curious, because this is like his thing. He does like 5-6 episodes a week and gets different guests on and stuff. And he said he named a few that were like the type of podcast they were really varied. Like there was one like about like fucking fishing, and the other one was about like boxing, and then there was like it was very different topics, but he had us in the mix there, so shout out to him. But
that's dope. I can relate to that though. I listen to Joe Rogan, obviously, but then like most of the other content.
You're a Joe Rogan-y guy,
but like
you are the Joe Rogan demographic.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I like to lift things.
It's like just like some of your thoughts. I can like when I hear Joe Rogan speaking, I'm like. This and that, like the balance of the both sides are very much similar to the way that you express a lot of your. I feel like your views on things are very similar to how Joe Rogan would perceive a lot of shit, and I feel like Joe Rogan's podcast has such a very wide range of guests on it that are
I love that. Like a lot of this,
I feel like that contributes to a lot of the things that you're interested in. I think, like
for sure. I mean, well, the thing is, like he said on his episode recently with Dave Chappelle. I think it was the second last episode of the date.
That's new. I was seeing some clips from that. So he did a recent episode with Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. So he said on that, like basically the way it happens now is like he gets like a list of people that want to come onto his show. And like what they do, and that's basically what he bases it off of. Is like, oh, this guy wrote a book about this, or this guy does this. Like he gets a very brief.
I love it.
This is a person. He wrote a book about like studying fucking fungus. And it's like, okay, I want to hear about that, and that's how Joe Rogan picks his stuff. Yeah. That's interesting, and then he just gets into it.
I love it, bro.
I like to like. I would not call myself a jack of all trades, but the saying, jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah, I feel like that.
I
feel like I can relate to that a lot, where it's like I know a ton about like or not a ton, but I know a bit about all these different things that are interesting to me, but I don't really, like, there's a few things that I've honed in on, but there's nothing that I would say I'm an expert on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? I'm very
I love cooking, and I love graphic design, like when it's effective. Like when I feel like I made something to like its peak, I'm like, yeah, fuck with that. I think cooking and graphic design are my two things that I really love, but there's all kinds of shit that I'm like into like that, you know?
I think that I'm somebody that I'm like, I can know as many things regarding like a certain space that I'm interested in, but I always know that there's someone that knows more than me. And sometimes I get like self-conscious about like, I don't really get self-conscious, but I'm like,
I'm very comfortable with that thought.
Yeah, I'm like, well, you know what? Like, I should be expected to know absolutely everything because I think most people can relate to that. But it's like, I'll be very confident in telling you everything that I do know, and I'll be honest when I'm not entirely sure about something. But like, I'm like, there's always someone that knows more about this particular subject than me. But if I can consume enough information about all these other things and kind of relay them out to you and give you my perception from what I have absorbed with this information, then I think that could be entertaining enough. And I think Joe Rogan is kind of like that too. Is like, he's definitely very informed with everything that's going on, but he's not necessarily like what the controversy surrounding him saying that like, yeah, he's like, you know, when he said about the vaccine, like that cut him in hot waters a little bit. Sorry, but like, you know, he said that like he felt like if you're in your early 20s and you're relatively healthy and you take care of your body, you might not necessarily need to get the vaccine. And no, he didn't take into consideration that person that did it, he has a lot of influence, you know, but he still has freedom of speech regardless of the platform that he has to be able to say this is what I think.
And this is the thing, he doesn't turn the camera off. He doesn't turn the camera off, and he's not a fucking expert on anything.
He does multiple 3-hour episodes. Yeah.
He's an expert on kickboxing and fucking jujitsu. You know what I mean? Like, he's not
going to talk about that for 3 hours
a scientist. Like, he's had people on there, like, for example, like, I was into bodybuilding before. You know what I mean? So I know I'm not a fucking leading expert, but I know how to easily manipulate your weight up and down. Like, I know how to gain and lose weight. And he has people on there all the time that are like, oh, you can only do it this way. You know what I mean? You got to only eat meat, or you got to be a vegan, or you got to do this. And they'll like explain their thought process. And it's like, so when I'm listening to that, I'm like, this is bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, I can count things out of this episode that I know are bullshit. And he's sitting there, he's not refuting, you know, he's not arguing with them. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't know.
I think you get better over time. You just know what makes for good content. You just shut up and let them speak and let the people decide.
Yeah, but at the same time, he doesn't know. He's not an expert. So, like, he's not an expert on fucking diseases. Why would you expect him to be? Just because he has a huge platform doesn't mean he can't have an opinion and then be fucking destroyed because he has an opinion. He has no idea. Like, if he was a leading expert in that,
exactly,
and you wanted to cancel him because he's saying something stupid, like, for example, that like doctor that was also a witch doctor that was talking for Trump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he got in some hot water because there was some doctor that was saying, I can't remember. She's making some wild ass claims. But like, if you're a doctor and you're making some anti-science medical claims, that you know, you should not be a doctor because of that. But if you're some guy that's a fucking mixed martial artist and you're, you know, saying,
man, I think I'm just like, yeah, sorry.
You shouldn't be canceled because you have an opinion that's uninformed.
Yeah, you can have an opinion 100%, but people need to understand. People need to have an idea. People need to be educated on the type of content they're consuming and who the person is that's putting out that content and what their level of expertise are based off of what they're talking about. You need to know what Joe Rogan's qualifications are. He's a very interested person in as regards to who he has on, and he asks questions, and he's probably smarter than the majority of people, but he is not the fucking voice for, you know, being the determining factor on the best evidence and facts possible to, you know, influence you whether or not you should get the vaccine. Like, Joe Rogan should not be.
But when he says something, people treat him like he is that.
Well, it depends.
People
want to deplatform people from. Like, people want to scrutinize people for confidently giving their opinion when they have a large platform, but it's like,
that's what I was going to say is people try to equate platform size to knowledge, and that makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you need to have that's on the audience for not being
aware
smart
enough to be
enough
like,
yeah, exactly. Like, you can disagree with this person. Yes, they're popular, but they could be wrong. They're also a human being at the end of the day. Like, they aren't going to be right.
I disagree with Joe Rogan a lot more often than somebody would think that I
Yeah, like, I disagree with people that have millions of Instagram followers and millions of subscribers on YouTube that have a big platform and a popular show, but they're not always right. And there's a lot of people that I watch, like Andrew Schultz, when he covers a certain topic, and I'm like, yes, this is a very confident opinion on something that I obviously know that you aren't completely informed on, and you don't know as
exactly
much as what you're talking about. But you this is your show. You get thrown topics of what's going on in the world. Some stuff you are going to be a lot more up to speed with than others, but you're still going to cover everything if people are talking about it and give your 2 cents is what makes you entertaining.
And on top of what we're saying, like I said when we started talking about this, he doesn't shut the camera off. He doesn't edit anything out. So
that's what got them to that point.
So he's, so Andrew Schultz does a show. He can shut the camera off and retake that bit. You know what I mean? He can shoot that 10 times. I'm just saying as an example. He could shoot that 10, 20, fucking 100 times, right? He does his podcast on the spot. So if something comes up that he hasn't pre-planned an answer for, he's just responding off the top of his head. So if he's responding off the top of his head with what he knows, and he may be not informed properly, who are you to sit at that and be like, this is supposed to be the truth, but it's not?
Yeah, bro.
You know what I mean? Like, that's so stupid.
What do you think about? Did you see some more local news? Did you see the people on Citadel Hill in Halifax protesting?
Wearing masks.
Protesting wearing masks. The real virus is fear.
Man, me and Mackie were trying to talk about this earlier at work, and I almost don't even want to get into it. Like, it's just like,
this shit is worse than politics.
Depending on what you listen to, and especially on the internet, and this is like one of the major reasons. Like, I worked in advertising prior to the job that I'm at now, and so even on a small scale, what you're doing there is trying to influence people. That is what the internet's all about, especially when you're moving to a social platform other than like YouTube. And even on YouTube, that's what it's about. You're trying to show people things. There's all kinds of people on there that are just trying to show you things to make you move a certain direction, right? And some people get so far down that path and they follow just these people that are like, here's an audience that I can take advantage of, an uninformed audience, and I can spit at them some reasons that don't really make all that much sense, but you can say it in a way that makes sense to somebody that's not going to think about it too much. And then you create people that are like I saw something earlier, and it was like a meme that was like, it wasn't a meme, it was like a picture, but it was like supposed to be a meme, and it was like, you see like a note up in the window of a business, and it was like, sorry, you can't come in here without a mask, or whatever. And it was like, you can't come into my house because, or sorry, you can't enter this house if you've been vaccinated because you may shed GMO DNA or some weird, it didn't make sense, but it was basically supposed to be like anti-vax type of shit. And it was posted as a joke, like the context that it was posted in was a joke. But there were people arguing. I always look at the comments of like super controversial shit because I'm like, who is stupid as fuck that I'm gonna laugh at right now? So I was looking at the comments, and there's people like, oh yeah, like you should see what like people shed shock proteins after they get the vaccination, and it like hurts pregnant women that aren't even vaccinated and all this shit. And I'm like, where did you get this from? What is this? What is this conversation?
There's way too much information,
like,
bro.
So,
do you see that?
You can create information.
I'm sorry, continue.
You can create information that's not facts.
And you can make it look really nice. And as someone like yourself, and even someone like myself who has been on the side of making advertisements and making thumbnails and making music videos and thinking of the best possible way to gravitate the most attention to something you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
It's very easy to do, and it's easy to make it look official. And there's a lot of gullible people that aren't necessarily people that have grown up with the internet their whole life, they can come across an article from a less reliable source or a YouTube video with some fucking eerie music and someone who is very enthusiastic when they're speaking about what they're talking about, that can convince that person. Like, you can be convincing and not necessarily someone who has a bunch of factual information, and that's very harmful. And it's interesting. A lot of these people that are protesting these lockdowns right now are people that are relying on the world to be like. That's the thing, is like they are. It's very interesting to see the divide between people that are just a little bit more selfless, where it's like, you know what, we're taking this time to not be socializing with others for the sake of the people that could be very vulnerable to getting this disease that is widespread right now. We don't have everybody vaccinated. And then there's people that are like, you know what, my job is affected by this. This is enough. Fuck those people. I need to be out here. I don't care. It's, and both sides can make their points. But, a lot of these people, when COVID first hit, a lot of these people were getting the CERB and getting the government, the emergency response benefit, that they're getting this money to be able to sustain themselves while they're not able to work their job that would normally pay them. And now they're very critical of the government, and everyone has the right to form their own opinion and whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's just like, it's just very interesting. It shows the patience. It's like, patience is such a fucking positive trait to have in the world, because it's like,
we were very lucky in this country, because not every country so we had CERB. So like anybody earning under like $20 an hour.
If you were an entrepreneur and you made more than $5,000 in 2019, you were eligible to get the fucking CERB. I can tell you for a fact, I would not have been making the money that I was getting from CERB at that point when I was getting it if this shit did not happen.
Well, I got laid off. I got laid off my job. I was getting paid $17 an hour at the time, and I made more money on CERB than I did then, if you're not counting the taxes. And I happen to be in a lucky position where, like, Emily and I, like, where I'm the only one working, we're considered a low-income family, so we get like a tax credit from the government for like.
Wait till the shit blows up.
A few $1,000s, right? So like the tax benefit that we got canceled out any of the money that I owed in taxes from CERB. So
I want to see all these people that are very critical about the government and think they have all these fucking agendas to fucking
like out of any country in the world. Like, I can understand people getting impatient in the U.S. I could understand people getting impatient in countries that are less fortunate than we are, and I don't understand why the government in the United States, and for all these people that are like, oh, anti-mask, fucking Trump, it's like, he did not take care of you during this thing at all. He did not, and he could have, and he had the power to do it, and he could just look up above him and be like, oh, see what they're doing?
There's a lot of videos,
but he knew that he couldn't. He knew that, like, you know what I mean? He couldn't do that, and at least didn't do that if he could, and you know what I mean? Like, I can see why they're getting impatient, because they didn't have that kind of support. Whereas like everybody in Canada that needed to be was financially supported during this thing, to a degree at least.
Well, when it's inconvenient for them, then that's when they turn on the fucking government that gave them those fucking $2,000.
Well, what I find interesting, I mean, like, if you didn't need that $2,000, I could see why, or if you needed more than that $2,000, I could see why you would be upset. But like, the government at least took care of a majority of people here, and
like, that's the thing. These people in power are still humans at the end of the day. Not every decision they make is going to be perfect and apply perfectly to every citizen that is within that area that they make these decisions. Like, some of these policies can be conflicting, but you can't necessarily make one that is applicable to every single employee of every single workplace. It's hard, bro.
Yeah, well, I think what they did in the UK was like 60% of income for everybody. So like, if you were making like $1 million a year, you know what I mean, you were still getting a lot of money. And then it was like, if you were making nothing,
that sounds crazy.
I'm pretty sure it was something like that, unless it went by like tax bracket and it changed. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was like 60% of your wage was like given to you by the
Regardless,
government.
man, there's so much information out here. I think the easiest way to kind of move. I'm not necessarily someone that wakes up every day and is like, what are the COVID cases? How much fucked up? Because I'm just like, I'm trying to build something on the internet. I don't necessarily need to be out here in these streets to further what
Yeah,
I'm trying to
well,
build.
I work in a restaurant. I mean, you do too, but like in a different context. But like that affects my day to day because like the work and oh, and this is something I was gonna say. The government took really good care of us, but what's
Yeah,
unfortunate, and
but
I don't know that particular.
Justin Trudeau is just lining his pockets up with him and all of his friends and all of his family, and they're going to censor us all, and we are going to be a communist country. Don't you see this injustice, my brother?
Yeah, shit like that. But like, shit. What was it gonna? Okay, so like, there's people that the really unfortunate thing about in Nova Scotia, with this recent lockdown is that there are people that had like EI got extended, like unemployment insurance got extended when COVID happened, and like the time that you needed to work to become eligible for it got shortened, so it was like easier for people. But there are a lot of people that rode out their unemployment to not that long ago or are still doing it right now, like are still on it.
Yeah, they're getting
So
paid,
like
and
they're gonna lose their they just lost their job and then they can't get back on unemployment.
Mm. Yeah,
And
they're writing it out beyond
like anybody like I
they
got
could have went to they could have went back to the job, but they chose not to, and they wrote it out, and then they got a
and
job lost.
now they're not eligible. And
Yeah,
like because like I did the CERB for a while. I didn't do the full thing, but I did most
that
of it.
shit does that still exist?
I think there's like a different version of it that still exists. I'm not quite sure, but there's just certain situations like now if you go into a lockdown that I don't think you're as safe. So like and the thing is like I don't I don't know if I think lockdowns are necessarily the answer. Like
The
I don't know, it's
vaccine
hard to
rollout,
say.
bro.
I think the vaccine is more important.
Lock us
What I
down.
think is
This is the this is the last lockdown.
I think so too.
Yeah.
What I
This is the
think is
basically the calm
interesting
before the
though is that
positive storm.
I feel like younger people, like people our age, are probably most likely to spread it. And I
To the people
feel,
that are vulnerable, like kids,
I
like my
but
younger brother Cole, like kids in high school, they don't give a fuck, man. Like,
no, they don't. Yeah, they don't
they
care.
might.
They don't care. So they're all around each other, and they have to be around each other. Like typically, the younger you are and the older you are, the less you socialize, right? But when you're in that young age, you're socializing often,
You need
usually
to.
with less care,
You need to.
and so I feel like those people are probably spreading the most and being affected the least. I feel like they
Mm.
should have been the first vaccinated. I feel like it
That's
should have
facts,
went.
bro.
I
That's
feel like
facts
it should have
because
went like
they're more
kind of
inclined
old people.
to
I feel
want
like
to
it should have went
socialize.
high risk old people and young
Yeah.
people
Yeah, that's true
because
because they're more inclined. The thing is, they vaccinated the old people because it just makes more sense as far as like how they promote this and who is most vulnerable. But it's like
but they're like starting at the top and working their way
the
down
younger people are the ones that are socializing and have the initiative to want to socialize so badly, and then they go and visit their
and be
mom,
reckless.
parents,
You
and
know what I
stuff,
mean?
and they spread it. But the younger people are not really affected with the side effects as much as by any means as like someone that's
You know what I
older.
mean? So like if they were vaccinated and they were immune and they weren't getting, really contracting the virus and being able to spread it, like that would make way more sense than, okay, let's vaccinate the people at the top. And then there's like an efficacy rate for that vaccine too. Like it doesn't completely cover everybody. Um, and then let's just rely on that to stop all the young people from killing them with the virus. You know what I mean? Stop it at the epicenter and then work your way up, I think, in either direction towards older people and younger people because they're honestly too going to be the people most affected by the vaccine. You know what I mean?
I
Like
just got a notification saying my high CPU usage is affecting the meeting quality. I don't know for. Oh no,
I
your face. We're good.
yeah, you kind of
I was
glitched out for a second there, but it was good.
I was gonna say is I was gonna switch topics real quick. Do you want to know what the game's top 10 favorite rappers of all time are?
I looked at it. I can't remember it. Oh shit! I'm at an all-time high here on Ethereum.
Bro, I want to just back to our math discussion from before of
You were thinking that you had not 1 cent American, but you had 9.9 cents American, which would translate to 12 cents Canadian. But you thought it was 1 cent. But you thought it was 1 cent translating to 12 cents Canadian. That's what you were saying.
No, but 1 cent US is 12 cents Canadian.
No.
If you go to the USD to CAD on Google right now and you type in
the US dollar right now is
12 cents Canadian.
The US dollar right now is 1.21 on the Canadian dollar. So 10 cents Canadian would be 12 cents American. Or sorry, 10 cents American would be 10 cents. 10 cents American would be 12. But you were saying 1 cent American was 12 cents Canadian. 1 cent
That is
American,
what I'm looking at right now. That's literally what I'm saying.
Show me what you have on your screen.
0.012 Canadian dollar. Oh, wait.
You were fucking up the decimal points.
Yeah. Yes. Right. No. 0.12 Canadian dollar says 0.099 US.
Yes.
So that is basically 12 cents is it 12 cents?
No, that's not 12. Right. That's 1.2. 1.2 cents is equal to 9 cents. 9.99.
Yeah, that's what it says, yeah.
Yes. You were misplacing where the decimal was before.
0.012 is equal to 0.0099 US.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically 0.00.
Okay, move up to $1. Stop all this decimal shit. $1 US is worth $1.2 Canadian.
What? $1 Canadian is $1. Yeah, exactly. $1 US, 1.21 Canadian. So let's say if you're
moving the decimal to the left, you're gonna see $1 is worth, you're gonna see 0.1 would be worth. 0.12 Canadian would be worth 0.1 American. Then you move it to the right again, and you're gonna get to where you were just at, but you're mistaking it for being 12 on 1 versus 12 on 1 on 1.2.
Regardless, if this fucking shit was to 1 cent, I'm gonna cash the fuck out.
If you went up 1 cent, if that coin went up 1 cent, you would make $3,100. So even if it goes to like 10 cents, you're like up $31,000.
Yeah, right now it's worth 0.0001836 Canadian, and I have 3,100,000 ships.
Yeah, you're just misplacing a decimal before.
I don't have the mindset at this point of time in the day to really break it down, but.
What else do we have to talk about here? A lot of it was Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. I think that
Trippy read in Playboy Cardi release.
It's fire, bro.
Is it? I wouldn't even listen to that by choice.
I didn't even realize Trippy Red dropped a rock album with Travis Barker like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I ain't see a damn thing unless it's the guap. I don't know. That's something that he said. It's a pretty hard song. The beat's fire.
What did you think of T Grizzly's album? I
thought T Grizzly's album was fire. Did you actually listen to it?
No, I was just about to say I saw that it came out, and I want to. No, I didn't. And I wanted to listen to Quando today, actually, at work, but it was just.
You know what, bro? I never really listened to Quando Rondo that much, but it's interesting. The whole incident with Quando Rondo and King Von. King Von was at a position in his career where he was getting a lot of attention. He was signed to Little Dirk, and he was gaining a lot of popularity and everything. But I don't know what the background story is, but I watched that Quando Rondo interview that he did with Angela Yee about a week before this album that he just put out came out. And if we're just basing it off of his understanding of
Is
the
that where they're in the
situation,
car?
yes, he has absolutely no. If there's underlying conversations and stuff that led to that incident where King Von attacked Quando Rondo and his crew, which led to some of the Quando Rondo crew just shooting King Von. He does not know why that happened. He has songs with Little Durk. He said they were cool. Basically, what happened was he was at a club, Quando Rondo, and he stayed in his vehicle, and his homie was saying, "I want to go in the club for a half hour," and he was like, "Okay, cool, whatever." And he actually stayed in the vehicle that they arrived to the club in, and he took a nap. And he woke up to some shit going on outside. He came out, and King Von punched him in the face. And then Quando Rondo's homie, Lil Tim, shot King Von because he was beating the shit out of Quando Rondo, and that is how that ended. But from my understanding, King Von initiated the situation. King Von was definitely no angel, and that was how he
No,
was living.
absolutely not. But
Unfortunate.
I don't.
And I like King Von's music, and I think King Von had a lot of potential, and he was only going to get bigger. And I think that he was a genuine person at the end of the day, but he did engage the activity of
You should raise your
the
hands before you
situation
raise a
that
gun.
led to him.
You only need a gun because you can't use your
Yeah.
hands.
But people hire these shooters, and everyone's like, I got shooters because
Yeah,
of shit
but
like this. And once it actually happens, and
shooters
the
are
other,
for shooters.
I
Yeah,
guess, but it's
you have
like
guns
sometimes
because you
people have to
need
react in
guns.
those
They didn't need
situations.
guns. Quando could have used his hands, or his buddy could have used his hands, and they're just like,
I
oh,
guess so.
I'm
But
gonna
you know
shoot
what?
from over here. It's
In
just
situations like that, at the end of the day, I mean, King Von
how many
and
guys
his
did he
crew.
have come out of that door? There was like 8 guys underneath that
I have
fucking
no idea.
door.
I
You
have
know
no
what I
idea,
mean?
but I
It's just
don't
like
think that it was necessarily all on Quando Rondo and his
no,
crew for the fact that King Von.
it wasn't all on him. It was that
You know what?
little
That
Tim
whole
guy's
incident could have been
decision.
avoided. There didn't
That's
have
what
to
I'm
be a
saying.
physical altercation at all. They could have talked something out, whatever the incident was, but that led to that. And then once shit gets to that level, I mean, you can't really predict what's going to happen next because it's a lot of,
Oh, but you
you know.
should be able to predict not a gun if you punch somebody.
Yeah, but not everybody thinks like that.
No, I know it's a weird situation, but it's just it shouldn't have come to that.
Regardless, I don't take any sides in that situation, but um, Quando that album, I like that album a lot. I listened to it. I never listened to his music prior to that,
Well, he
but
definitely needed to have a good release post that.
no doubt, it's unfortunate. I feel like the death of King Von had way less to do with him and more to do with the people that he is really good friends with that obviously he's going to support following this incident. So he's going to rock with them anyway. And he signed to NBA Youngboy, who isn't someone who does collaborations with the industry artists to even begin with. So Quando kind of follows that same lane. So he has no features on that album at all. So that's whatever. He probably would have done that anyway. And but I
I'm
think that it was a
interested to
good project.
see. I mean, I'm
You should listen to
not
it, bro.
even.
You would like it. I
I
think that
feel
it's
like I
got
probably
good
would.
songs on it, like really genuinely
I
good.
listened to him before and I thought he was pretty good. Like I said before, like I think that musically talented wise, he was definitely way better than King Von. I feel like King Von fell into this category of rappers that I say would like not exist if it wasn't for like super producers. You know what I mean? People that just make
King
banger
Von
beats
had
all the time.
he had his
I feel like he was
he
kind
had
of raw. Like
he
I
was
like
raw and he made a
that's what I like.
storytelling Chicago drill style sound records, but as far as like his lyrical ability, it was definitely very
Yeah.
generic. But his story was what interested people with
Mhm.
his music, and I can respect King Von's shit too. I bumped King Von a lot in the fall, so rest in peace to him. But that
Yeah.
Quando Rondo album, I bet Quando Rondo didn't kill King Von. Quando Rondo was napping in a fucking car and came out of the vehicle, and there was
Yeah.
beef going on with people
Well,
that he was with. Got into
Lil
it, got punched, and then King Von died. He's fucking fucked up about that shit.
and
But he,
Lil Durk has a line on his last project where he's like, I can't remember the wording exactly, but it's like people keep asking about people keep asking about, and then it like cuts out. But he's about to say Quando, and he's like,
yeah.
well, shit, he's dead.
Well, Quando hasn't necessarily been the most respectful following this incident either, but that's a different
But I was
situation.
just saying, fucking Lil Durk saying on his album that Quando's already dead. That's kind of fucked up. Like, I'm just waiting for him to get killed. Like, that's the
Well, you
fucked
saw
up
that
thing.
he did a show in Atlanta last week, and he still showed up, whatever, because a lot of places don't want to book him because of all this controversy and potential threat to their venue if they book him there. But he did a show in Atlanta, I think, and he performed for a crowd. He had more people on stage with him than like in the crowd. So honestly, shout out to the people that were brave enough to even go to the show. But
Should have
they
the
were
people that are brave enough to be on stage with them.
shout out to everyone for the bravery. But his album is called what's that album called? I have it listed here. Still Taking Risks. So yeah, he might as well just invest in fucking. He might as well
Doge.
just invest in Doge or Shiba Coin, but he's out here taking risks or top ships or whatever. But yeah, he got shot at a gas station after the show. So he's definitely out here living like that shit didn't cause a lot of people to want to make sure that he dies. But the album is good, man. There's a lot of good songs on it. You should listen to it from start to back. And that T Grizzly album that came out too, Built for Whatever, is something I've been listening to a lot the last few days. There's a lot of great tracks in that. T Grizzly's brother, I believe, is Baby Grizzly, and I think he's in jail. But T Grizzly, his brother is pretty far. There's a lot of really good songs in that, man. The songs in that will make you want to invest in an altcoin and 1,000 times your money, or somebody.
Oh, sweet. Is that it?
I think we're over 2 hours right now.
All right. I'm good to call it. I gotta go help Mama prepare for the B-Day tomorrow. Anyway,
yeah, man. So Mac's birthday
actually
is
B-Day
tomorrow.
today. It's today.
It's today as of
It's
6
May.
minutes.
It's May 10th.
He's officially 4 years old, man. That's crazy, bro. I remember when you first told me that Emily was about to carry the child that you guys collaborated on in the fall of 2016, and I was like, that's crazy.
A big
That's
switch up, man. But honestly, like, I feel like everybody says this, but it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me in terms of like being able to organize myself into like, really become like more kind of self-interested and not in a bad way, but like in a way that I'm taking care of myself and what's around me more. You know what I mean? Like, it was something that I didn't really care about before. Like, I had a lot of advantages growing up, and I didn't really care or even take advantage of them, even disrespected them probably, or definitely. But now I kind of really respect like what I have, what I'm capable of with my own time, and where I give that to and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that I didn't appreciate before that I appreciate now because of that, for sure. I can't wait to see you have kids. Thinking about that yesterday because I feel like I'm going to be like done. I'm going to be like 40. Like when Mac turns 18, I'm going to be 37. When this baby turns 18, I'm going to be 23 plus 18. 40. The fuck is it? 41? I'm only going to be 41 when all my kids are completely grown up. And I feel like by that time, you're going to have like a toddler.
Bro,
and I'm going to be like, oh, look at him struggling.
Wait till you have your fourth kid at 37.
No, I got a doctor's appointment coming up.
Bro, if you come over here, man, I'll cut your nuts off.
Fuck.
I got like 3 pairs of scissors.
I got multiple sizes of scissors. I would never attempt that in my own home. But
I think you know what, man, we got to start a Patreon, and after you get that shit figured out, you could definitely got to upload pictures of your nuts on there.
All right. when we get to a certain point.
Shout out Bill CF. Shout out William McLeod. Shout out
everybody that's been holding on all the way to the end.
Shout out to everyone whose name is Dave that watches this episode. There's multiple Daves that tap in.
And a lot of Dave Baileys that exist.
I think after we get to episode 10, we're gonna rope in some guests. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. We got to get.
I think that up to episode 10, I want us to hone our skills, and then we're gonna start really going. We're gonna go on an unprecedented run of gangsters.
I'm down for that.
All right, bro.
All right.
Episode 7 in the bag, in the tank. Respect to the Bloods and Crips.
All right, man.